What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. Kaido defeated Revive's big brother 1KD Chapter 1 Wanokuni's God of Ninjas, Invincible Overlord killing. One more kneeling for flowers and evaluation. The island of Kamiya, Canyon of the Gods in the central area. Boom. 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 Several strands of Conqueror's haki poured out and pressed towards the central area of the canyon at a speed that could not be hidden by the ears. The powerful force caused the air to appear with visible cracks, and even the entire canyon was shaking violently. And in the face of so many Conqueror's haki, deep in the canyon, there was no sign, and there was also a terrifying Conqueror's haki. In the next instant, this Conqueror's haki collided with several storming Conqueror's haki, and suddenly made a roaring sound that shook the sky and earth, and the sky and the earth became pale in an instant, and the sun and the moon were dull. No doubt, this is no longer a simple collision of momentum, but a group fight of Conqueror's haki that is rarely seen in New World. Crack. Crack. One strand of Conqueror's haki and multiple strands of Conqueror's haki conflicted with each other, producing a vision that destroyed the sky and the earth. The clouds in the sky had already been washed away, and thousands of black thunders appeared, causing cracks to appear in the space. I didn't expect that you would actually join forces to deal with me. Then let you see Conqueror's haki's top tyrant kill. The voice did not fall, that Conqueror's haki was strengthened several times. An invisible aura of Conqueror's haki was formed directly in the canyon. Immediately afterwards, under the unbelievable expressions of many people, the powerful Conqueror's haki seemed to have encountered some nemesis, collapsed uncontrollably, and disappeared into the canyon as countless airwaves. What? Our Conqueror's haki are gone. It's actually the legendary Overlord killing. Damn, this Luo Lei is not only a ninjutsu pervert, but even Conqueror's haki to the point of killing a king? After a few seconds, one after another unbelievable voice sounded. Apparently, they were all shocked by Luo Lei's performance of the super top bully. Luo Lei, you really are a pervert monster, but unfortunately, no matter what, you must die today. See this scene, a very cold voice sounded. I saw Rock's pirate captain Rox D. Zebek took a deep breath, suppressed the throbbing in his heart, and showed a crazy smile. Rox, is it the courage that the world government gave you? In the depths of the canyon, a man with long black hair, wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform, and a red layered armor on the outside smiled abusively, and patted his hands lightly. It really is a conspiracy, you all give Laozi away, son. Chatanla surging, a 100-meter high wooden golem appeared on the scene. Boom. The next moment, the 100-meter high wooden golem waved his fist wrapped around armament haki, and simply and directly bombarded the ground of the canyon. Advertisement: the entire canyon trembled violently a few times. With the place where the fist bombarded as the center, the ground began to collapse, and a shockwave of extremely terrifying ability erupted, sweeping out in all directions. The dust rises from the sky, swish, swish, influenced by. One after another, the sound of breaking the air sounded. Several figures flew out from the center of the dust and stood apart in various directions, staring at the figure standing on wooden golem's head. At this time, if anyone is here, we'll be frightened. Because these figures are all famous people in the sea. Rox D. Zebek of Rox Pirate, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Ochaku. Gold D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba of the Roger Pirates, and Marines Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, CP0's three masked chiefs. The Conqueror's haki gang fight broke out by Rox D. Zebek and others just now, and the Conqueror's haki broke out by Luo Lei. But he was defeated by Luo Lei's Overlord kill. Damn, how could this be? Conspiracy, this is a complete conspiracy. I didn't expect that Marine, CP0 and Pirates team up to deal with Lord Luo Lei. It's really absurd and ridiculous. As expected, it is Lord Luo Lei, who has already brought Conqueror's haki to the point of killing a king. Fortunately, Lord Luo Lei let us withdraw first. And at the edge of Kamiya Island, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin, who have retreated, are looking anxiously at the center of the battlefield. The two of them never thought that Rox Pirate, Roger Pirates, Marine, and CP0 would actually join forces to deal with one person. It was really funny. They said that Marine and Pirates were at odds, and that the strong ones were at odds with each other. What about pride and dignity? All right. Despite having great confidence in the strength of Lord Luo Lei. But, facing the monster-level combat power of Rox D. Zebek, Gold D. Roger, Sengoku, Kong, Garp, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin were still a little unconfident, and couldn't help showing worried expressions. Because, in such a big battle, looking at the entire sea, I am afraid that few people can keep calm, and they all tremble. God of Ninjas, Luo Lei, don't make unnecessary struggles, you can't leave today. At this time, in the center of the battlefield, Rox D. Zebek stood on a boulder, his eyes narrowed slightly, and he said with a complicated expression, "Your existence has affected the Rox Pirate and the balance of the sea, it's time to call the curtain." When it comes to this, Rox D. Zebek couldn't help showing a cold look, clenched his fists and said loudly, "This time, the 5 elders of world government took the initiative to contact me and Roger, just to kill you completely." All along, Rox D. Zebek felt as if he was living in the shadow of Luo Lei. The Rox Pirate he formed was based on violence and killing, and he also had a huge ambition to become the king of the world. But did not expect when the Rocks pirate is about to dominate the sea. Luo Lei, the god of ninjas from Wanokuni, was born out of nowhere. He didn't eat any devil fruit. Relying on his superb ninjutsu, he forcibly dominated the entire sea. More importantly, advertisement this Luo Lei is still powerful, stirring up the situation on the sea, doing whatever he wants, doing things unscrupulously, playing cards according to common sense, and doing things based on his mood. If you disagree with Marine, the world government, and the major pirate groups, killing celestial dragons is like killing a dog. He is an extremely pervert, violent, moody, and violent guy. So that, many people on the sea call Luo Lei their ancestors, which means that they are the ancestors of the major forces. And as Luo Lei becomes more and more unscrupulous, especially in the case of continuously killing celestial dragons, the celestial dragons family of Mariejois can't bear it, the 5 elders of world government can't bear it, the master of world government behind the scenes, the master of the void throne, can't bear it either. They can't tolerate such arrogant and uncontrollable people in the sea. In order to maximize profits, he put down his posture and secretly contacted the dead Rocks D. Zebek and Gold D. Roger, who were suppressed by Luo Lei. He wanted to use Uranus, one of the 3 ancient weapons, and some devil fruit with rare attributes. As bait, a net is laid on the island of Kamiya, the home of the celestial dragons. Sure enough, Luo Lei, who has always been lawless and likes to do whatever he wants, was seduced. Now that the plan has been successful, it is time to close the net. Jia ha 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 ha. Hearing the angry voice of the Rock's boss, Golden Lion Shiki let out his own unique laugh and said violently, Luo Lei, you have today too? Luo Lei, you are doomed to do whatever you want. Gold D. Roger hesitated for a while, then said indifferently, if you can force us to join forces with the world government and attack it, you should review it. Take a look at what you've done. After entering the Grand Line, Gold D. Roger also has a huge ambition to become One Piece. But, facing Luo Lei, who was like a mountain on top of his head in the sea, he also felt great pressure and helplessness. That being the case, that can only kill Luo Lei. At the same moment, humph, a cold hum sounded. Not far away, a CP0 chief wearing a catface mask said coldly, Luo Lei, you are unable to fly today, our CP0 is watching you. Dare to kill celestial dragons, you must die. Another CP0 chief, wearing a dog face mask, added, no matter what, we've got you covered. Surrender. Marine's Marshal, Kong said with a serious expression. You have been surrounded by us. If you are willing to accept sanctions, we Marine can keep you alive. That's right. Sengoku glanced up at the figure standing on the huge wooden golem's head, and said mercilessly. If you continue to fight stubbornly, there will be no good end. You are very strong, but you can't win against so many of us. Beside, Garp didn't speak, just silently clenched both fists. He knew very well that with Luo Lei's character, what Marshal Kong and Sengoku said was actually taking off his pants and farting, and it was useless. The only thing that interests him is how strong Luo Lei is. Conqueror's Haki, who has trained to kill the king, is superb in ninjutsu, especially the almost incomprehensible wood style. The god of ninjas. A man who redefined ninja. The second chapter Senju Hashirama's template, 2 more flowers and evaluation. That's right, a man who redefines ninja. He didn't eat any special devil fruit, but he was able to perform all kinds of ninjutsu at will. Among them, the wood style, which can be called a trick, subverted the cognition of countless people in the sea and defeated many famous powerhouses. Thinking of this, Garp couldn't help but fell into the memory. Luo Lei, godlike man, born out a year ago, it took less than 3 days to unify Wanokuni and become the ninja god of Wanokuni. And next, it is the nightmare of the whole sea, because of ninjutsu pervert, strong strength, and the character of doing whatever he wants. Luo Lei will not give anyone face in the sea, and there is no reason to do things, and he does not play cards according to common sense. For example, when he is in a good mood, he can make a large island full of towering trees with one clapping, and can also turn some deserts into oasis or create a wooden island on the sea. When in a bad mood, he likes to beat people everywhere, ignoring the dignity of countless strong men on the sea. People like Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Gold D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Kong, Sengoku, and even himself were beaten by Luo Lei's wood style. To the end, it directly developed into a fight against Marine, the world government, and the major pirate groups every 3 days, asking them to pay protection fees, and ignoring the warnings of the world government. Killing celestial dragons is like killing a dog, so that it has the title of the ancestor of the sea. In the end, the allied parties of the world government were forced to set up an ambush on the island of Kamiya, trying to kill Luo Lei. Now the plan is successful, I just don't know how long Luo Lei can last. That's right, how long can it last? As for winning, that is impossible. Indeed, Luo Lei's strength is very pervert. But Garp doesn't think that with so many high-end combat powers gathered together, Luo Lei, who has no martial arts, will lose. Actually, not just Garp, even Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Gold D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Kong, Sengoku and others do not think Luo Lei can escape this disaster. Advertisement: they have decided to eat Luo Lei, no one will make it easy. Ha ha, Standing on the wooden golem and looking down at everyone present, Luo Lei shrugged indifferently, showing a helpless expression. Although he knew for a long time that he would become the target of public criticism one day, he did not expect it to come so quickly. Even if their positions were different, Marine and Pirate could temporarily put aside their previous hatred and join forces to deal with him together. He also used Uranus, one of the 3 ancient weapons, and some devil fruits with rare attributes as bait to seduce him. It seems that I am used to the wind and the water, and my self-confidence is bursting, which leads to a loss of vigilance and a sense of crisis. Luo Lei smiled and shook his head, but he won't regret it. As a transmigrator, he has powerful strength, but he is still afraid of his hands and feet. Obscene development? Go road? Do not, that is impossible. Rox D Zebek, Gold D Roger, Kong, you guys are actually united, do you really look up to me? The next moment, Luo Lei's mouth was slightly raised with a sarcastic look on his face. Humph, Rox D Zebek snorted coldly and said, Luo Lei, you are entirely to blame. Luo Lei, we won't let you leave the Valley of the Gods today. Your existence is a disaster for the sea. Gold D Roger took a deep breath and said solemnly, the unbridled style of doing things is doom. Suicide. Luo Lei, from the moment you killed celestial dragons, your fate was already doomed. Seeing that both Rox D Zebek and Gold D Roger have expressed their opinions, Kong said firmly, the righteous Marine will not tolerate your reckless actions in the sea without the law. Ha 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 ha, after hearing these words, Luo Lei couldn't help laughing loudly. Nemas, he doesn't even want to break the minds of these guys in front of him, isn't it because he is too strong and has already affected the interests of all parties? Why are you talking so much nonsense? Also Nema's high-sounding, righteous and awe-inspiring look, it's so funny and disgusting. If that's the case, then let your subordinates see Zhenjiang and solve everything by fighting, Luo Lei said indifferently. All right. If there are only a few people, Luo Lei is confident that he can win and retreats completely. But, with so many people joining forces, it is definitely impossible to retreat, and they can only fight with full firepower to the end. Advertisement. System. I want to take a look at the property panel. Thinking of this, Luo Lei silently ordered in his heart. Ding. Host's property panel is being generated. Ding. The property panel is generated. Host. Luo Lei. Age. 17 years old. Chakra attributes. Fire, wind, thunder, earth, water, yin, yang. Abilities. First Hokage template for Senju Hashirama, peak state, unlocks fusion 99.9%, marine 6 styles, grandmaster, observation haki, advanced, armament haki, advanced, conqueror's haki, superior, awakening exclusive ability overlord to kill. The number of times to extract the template, 0. This is the current property of Luo Lei, simple and clear. But it gave Luo Lei the courage and self-confidence to dominate the sea. A year ago, Luo Lei traveled to Wanokuni and directly obtained the template of the peak first Hokage Senju Hashirama. So far, it was out of control. In less than 3 days, he unified Wanokuni and became the god of ninjas of Wanokuni. Next, Luo Lei began to traverse the sea. Because of what he wants to do, he is also known as the ancestor of the sea, and the marine and pirates are overwhelmed. Alas, it's still 0.1% to reach 100%, after a brief glance. A look of helplessness flashed in Luo Lei's eyes inadvertently. Over the past year, he has been fighting the sea and collecting devil fruit to unlock the template of first Hokage Senju Hashirama. As a result, when he reaches 99.9%, he is stuck, making him unable to draw second template. Certainly, don't look at it until you unlock 99%. In fact, with the blessing of Conqueror's Haki and Marine 6 styles, Luo Lei's real strength has far surpassed Senju Hashirama. Chapter 3 Sage Art Wood, Style True Several Thousand Hands. Certainly, don't look at it until it is unlocked to 99.9%. In fact, under the blessing of Conqueror's Haki and Marine 6 styles, Luo Lei's real strength has far surpassed first Hokage Senju Hashirama. So, even Rox D Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Ochaku, Gold D Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper, Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, etc. The powerhouses are all suppressed by Luo Lei. This is also one of the reasons why he is called the ancestor of the sea. Only, it's really a headache for these guys who have been suppressed by him to join together without shame. When Luo Lei complained in his heart, Rox D Zebek, Gold D Roger, Sengoku and others inadvertently looked at each other, and reached a consensus very tacitly, that is, if something is wrong, let's go together hands on. In this case, in the next instant, Luo Lei took a deep breath, and his mind moved Sage Body Chakra, followed by strands of armament haki wrapped around his body. The terrifying breath fluctuated out, shaking the entire canyon. Have nothing to say, it's over after all, soon. After entering combat mode, Luo Lei stood on the huge wooden golem and looked down at Rox D Zebek, Gold D Roger, Sengoku and others, and said proudly. So, are you coming one by one, or, together? Quiet. After this sentence, there was silence all over the island. Rox D Zebek, Gold D Roger, Sengoku, Garp and others all stiffened. Nemas, although I knew that Luo Lei was extremely arrogant. But did not expect that in the face of so many top powerhouses, they are still dead ducks. Advertisements still want to hit them all alone, isn't it looking down on them properly and not taking them seriously? HMPH. Stop talking nonsense, let's go together. The next moment, the CP0 chief who wore a cat face mask snorted coldly, clenched his fist, stepped on his foot, and jumped up and stepped on it. Fly towards Luo Lei with moonwalk. It is good, don't give him any respite, accompanied by 2 cold shouts. The other 2 CP0 chiefs also stepped on moonwalk neatly and followed. Perhaps knowing that Luo Lei is very strong, armament hockey wrapped around his body during the march of the 3 CP0 chiefs, bursting out with 3 terrifying and violent breaths, which made the air start to agitate invisibly. As expected of the Celestial Dragon's strongest shield, it's already comparable to Marine's Admiral based on breath alone. Seeing this scene, Rox D. Zebek of Rox Pirate, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Ochaku, and Gold D. Roger of Roger Pirates, Silver Rayleigh, Copper, Jabba looked all condensed. Marine, they are all familiar, but they rarely deal with Cypher Pole CP0, which is known as the strongest in the world. They only know that this organization is directly under the world aristocracy, Celestial Dragons, which is very mysterious. Maybe if Luo Lei hadn't killed a lot of Celestial Dragons. The total length of these 3 CP0s will not show up with a mask so easily. At the same moment, go to hell. Just let you see the power of Celestial Dragon's strongest shield. No sign. The commander of CP0, who was wearing a cat face mask and was flying towards Luo Lei, directly transformed into a giant ancient cat. And this is just the beginning. After the appearance of the dire cat, the other 2 CP0 chiefs also turned into a giant dire wolf and a giant saber-toothed tiger with fangs. It's for real. Ancient species of dire cats, dire wolves, saber-toothed tigers. As expected of the general manager of CP0, as soon as we make a move, we will do our best, and we are ready to do it. If you don't do it, it's enough. Once you do it, you show a very strong combat power. Advertisement seeing that the chiefs of the 3 CP0s entered the form of the ancient species, Rox D. Zebek, Gold D. Roger, Sengoku and others did not hesitate much, and entered the state of battle in sequence, and they kept bursting out of heart palpitations. The power of breath fluctuates. Forget it. Let's show you what the real Sage Art wood style is. At this time, Luo Lei, who was standing on Wooden Golem's head, was not afraid when he saw the 3 CP0 chiefs attacking him. Instead, he showed an eager expression. Because, all along, he has never used Sage Art wood style. After all, Sage Body and ordinary wood style are strong enough with Conqueror's Haki. Now is the time to show true ability. Sage Mode. With a low voice, Luo Lei's cheeks appeared Sage Mode's face in vain. The force of nature and the chatula inside the body intertwined crazily, forming the extremely terrifying Shanshu Chatura. Immediately, Luo Lei patted his hands lightly in front of everyone's eyes. Sage Art wood style true several thousand hands. Boom. A deafening roar resounded. The entire island of Kamiya began to vibrate violently, causing the 3 CP0 leaders who were attacking Luo Lei to be stunned for a moment, and stopped in midair. Observation Haki seemed to sense something and slammed towards the ground of the canyon. Go. Back off. No, there is something coming out of the ground. Swish. Swish. One after another, the sound of breaking the air sounded. Rox D. Zebek, Gold D. Roger, Sengoku and others who entered the battle state did not have time to think, and they all retreated hundreds of meters. Click. The moment they left, a crisp cracking sound sounded. I saw countless sturdy woods emerge from the ground, turning into huge arms, and then a huge Guanyin head emerged from the ground. As the head continued to rise, finally a few hundred meters high, a huge Guanyin statue with 1,000 arms stands in the Valley of the Gods. Chapter 4 You are too strong in the end. A huge Guanyin statue with a height of several hundred meters and 1,000 arms stood in the Valley of the Gods. In an instant, the huge chakra condensed on the wood style swayed in all directions, making the island of Kamiya tremble a few times. As for Luo Lei, he is like a god, standing above the head of true several thousand hands, overlooking Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Gold D. Roger, Pluton Rayleigh, Sengoku, Garp and others. Quiet. The entire Kamiya island is a dead silence. No way, no one thought, after being surrounded by several top combat powers on the sea. The ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei was not afraid at all, but instead performed an ninjutsu that has never been performed before. In midair, the 3 CP0 chiefs who had already incarnated were stunned by the huge wooden statue that suddenly appeared, with a height of several hundred meters and towering between heaven and earth. With Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gul D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr who have been evacuated far when the famous powerhouses all fell into sluggishness. What's the situation? What kind of ninjutsu is this? How does it feel more terrifying than that move that creates a blossoming forest in an instant? Is ninjutsu so scary with such a size? It's so big, with so many arms. What kind of monster is this Luo Lei? The next moment, even the well-informed Rox D. Zebek, Gold D. Roger, Sengoku, and others, after they recovered, they all involuntarily made a series of uproars. Lord Luo Lei has performed a new ninjutsu again. It feels so powerful, as expected of the god of ninja world. On the edge of the island of Kamiya, young Kaido and Charlotte Linlin looked at each other as if they could see the horror in their eyes. Advertisement as Luo Lei's younger brothers, the two of them knew a little about Luo Lei's ninjutsu, but the huge guanyin-like ninjutsu in front of them was the first time they met. So spectacular and shocking. If I had known, I should have learned ninjutsu from Lord Luo Lei. Kaido seemed to have thought of something, a look of annoyance flashed across his rough cheeks. Who said no? Charlotte Linlin also responded with some regret. At first, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin actually want to join the famous Rocks pirate. But, by chance, the two met Luo Lei, who was performing the birth of the tree world, and their inner worship was out of control. So, after many setbacks, they became the ancestors of the sea, Luo Lei's subordinate. At the same time, just when everyone was a little shocked. Without any sign, the huge Avalokitesvara statue standing there suddenly moved, and three of its huge arms twisted greatly, as if they were doing a warm-up exercise. You're not kidding, are you? This thing can actually move, doesn't that mean that thousands of giant arms can move? Seeing this scene, the cold sweat on the foreheads of Rocks D. Zebek, Gold D. Roger, Sengoku and others who had just stabilized fell from their cheeks, and there was a vague foreboding in their hearts. Oh no! In mid-air, the three CPO chiefs in the form of Dreadcat, Dreadwolf, and Saber-toothed Tiger began to tremble violently, and even couldn't help stepping back on moonwalk. They are not fools and idiots. One arm of this Senju Guanyin Colossus can pinch their animalized bodies, and it would be wise to temporarily withdraw them. Want to go? Luo Lei stood on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and he said calmly, "Since they have all come, don't go anymore, just use the three of you first." Swish. Swish. The voice did not fall, the three giant arms that were twisting slammed open their palms, and squeezed towards the three animalized CP0 chiefs at a speed that could not cover their ears. Danger. Danger. Advertisement extremely dangerous. In an instant, the three CPOs who entered the form of Dreadcat, Dreadwolf, and Saber-toothed Tiger had hairs all over their bodies, and it was too late to retreat. All they could do was move their minds, and their whole body was covered by armament hockey, out tempest kick. Laugh. Laugh. 3/10 of meters of white vacuum slashing waves roared out, piercing the air, and slammed into the three huge wooden palms. Boom. Boom. 3 deafening roars resounded, and a terrifying energy shockwave erupted. As the target of the attack, the three huge wooden palms shuddered in the air, and there were faint cracks on them. But that's all. With the permeation of the immortal chakra, the cracks on the three huge wooden palms were repaired. Not broken? How could this be? Is the defense of wood so strong? No, it's too late to step back. When the three CP0 chiefs saw this, their eyes were about to pop out, showing extremely unbelievable expressions. Joke. Their observation hockey had already sensed it, and there was no armament hockey attached to the three huge wooden palms. In other words, the three huge wooden palms were already so strong just by virtue of their own toughness. So, in this situation, the chiefs of the three CP0s who were too late to retreat. He could only watch helplessly as his animalized body was grabbed by the furious wooden palm that covered the sky. From a distance, the three CPO chiefs who entered the dire cat, dire wolf, and saber-toothed tiger form were like three chickens. The three giant arms of True Several Thousand Hands were pinched, and the scene was extremely shocking. The three of you are really too strong and must be punished. Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, said something very serious after catching the three chiefs of CP0. Chapter 5 Squeezed to death. The three of you are really too strong and must be punished. Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, said something very serious after catching the three chiefs of CP0. After hearing this, the three CP0 chiefs who were pinched by their giant arms in the palm of their hands were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. I have seen insults, I have never seen such an insult. What is it that they are too strong? Didn't you see that they were all easily pinched by the huge Guanyin Buddha statue? He also said that they were too strong, and if they were so irritating, it would make them more uncomfortable than killing them. What made the three chiefs of CP0 more uncomfortable and uncomfortable was that, after being caught, they tried their best to mobilize the powerful power of their zone, the ancient species devil fruit, trying to break free, to realize that no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't shake the wooden palm, but the power of the giant arm became stronger and stronger, tighter. If you have the ability, let us go, Luo Lei. No matter what, this time you are dead. The major celestial dragon families in the Holy Land have put you on the must-kill list. Maybe they couldn't break free. The three CP0 chiefs broke the jar and let out a few harsh words. The meaning was very simple. No matter what, as Celestial Dragon's strongest shield, they would not give in. Oh, standing on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, Luo Lei shook his head and showed an indifferent smile. The next moment, before Rocks D. Zebek, Gal D. Roger, Sengoku and others had yet to react, they grabbed the giant arms of the three CP0 commanders and burst out the majestic magic chakra, with a violent force. Ah! 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 Semicolon. 3 consecutive screams sounded, even if it entered the form of the ancient species. With the blessing of armament hockey, the defense and strength were greatly improved, and the 3 CP0 chiefs couldn't help but let out an extremely painful scream. Clap, clap. This is the crisp sound of broken bones. As the strength of the giant arm grew, the sound of the broken bones became louder and more urgent, the screams from the 3 CP0 chiefs became more painful, and the ears, mouth, eyes and other organs also began to overflow with blood. Why is that? A CP0 chief who entered the cat-fearing form looked desperate, tried all his strength to break free, but found that it was of no use. Puff. Advertisement. A bloody voice sounded. This kind of CP0 chief was crushed alive, and red and white things splashed around. You dare to kill us. Luo Lei, the 5 elders won't let you go. Seeing that his partner was crushed alive, the other 2 CP0 chiefs had their eyes split open. On the surface, they were unyielding, but deep down, they felt some regrets. This time they participated in the action of encircling and suppressing Luo Lei. They thought of many possibilities, but they did not expect that Luo Lei would be crushed to death without any resistance. Puff, puff. 2 more cracking sounds went forward. The remaining 2 CP0 chiefs were also crushed alive, and their flesh and blood were spattered, and they couldn't die any longer. Quiet. A dead silence. From being pinched by the 3 CP0 chiefs to being pinched alive, it only took less than 20 seconds. For a while, Rox D, Zebek, Gal D, Roger, Sengoku and others haven't reacted yet. Originally, they thought that the 3 CP0 chiefs could hold on for at least a few more minutes. But, the fact was that they hit them in the face, and they were crushed by the huge Guanyin Buddha statue without even holding on for a minute, so they didn't even have a chance to rescue them. Is this Buddha statue so strong? Did you make a mistake by pinching the 3 chiefs of CP0 to death? This is too incredible, isn't it? Quote. After a few seconds, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba and others almost all showed expressions of extreme horror and disbelief. It is rumored that the chief CP0, known as the strongest shield of celestial dragons, is very terrifying. The results of it, just entering the form of the ancient species, they were pinched to death, and thinking about it made their scalps numb. Advertisement. How can this huge Guanyin statue be so perverted? Kong looked extremely serious, and asked casually, Sengoku, can your human fruit, phantom beast, and Buddha form become so big? Cannot. Sengoku rubbed his aching head, and said bitterly, compared with the huge Avalokitesvara statue in front of him, the human fruit, the phantom beast, and the giant Buddha are nothing but nothing. Unless I develop Renren fruit, you demons, and Buddha form to a super awakened state. When it comes to this, Sengoku's tone was obviously still a little unconfident. To put it badly, if Luo Lei hadn't eaten any devil fruit, he would have thought that Luo Lei was eating Renren fruit, you demons, Muji Senju Guanyin form. Ha ha ha, this guy is a veritable monster, worthy of being the god of ninjas. Garp laughed loudly, showing his white teeth, and said, the 3 chiefs of CP0 are not unjustly dead. Garp, be quiet. Kong frowned and said in a low voice, after all, I'm a colleague, so I need to pay more attention to the influence. Ha ha ha, I see. Garp touched his head and smiled disapprovingly. At the same moment, on the edge of the island of Kamiya, young Kaido and Charlotte Linlin all showed shocked expressions, and their hearts set off a huge wave. Chief of 3 CPOs. Is that so? It's just started, it's already offline, and there's no dead body. How do I feel that Lord Luo Lei will win? Suddenly, Kaido seemed to have thought of something, and a ray of light flashed in his violent eyes, and said, as long as Lord Luo Lei can win, then the sea will completely enter the era of ancestors, and even the world government will only be able to do it. Grit your teeth and swallow in your stomach. Chapter 6 Farce, Infighting. One more kneeling and begging for reward and evaluation. That's right. Charlotte Linlin blinked and added. Once Mr. Luo Lei wins, then our status will rise, surpassing Rox and Roger, it's an easy thing. At that time, we can do whatever we want, and become unscrupulous ancestors of the sea like Lord Luo Lei. When it comes to this, Charlotte Linlin obviously has some impulses in her heart. Ha ha ha, Lord Luo Lei won't let us down. Kaido showed a violent smile, and then looked expectantly at the central area of Kamiya Island. The 3 chiefs of CP0 are dead, but the high-end combat power of Rox Pirate, the high-end combat power of Roger Pirates, and the high-end combat power of Marine have not started yet. The real battle has just begun. The fact is also true. After seeing the 3 chiefs of CP0 being squeezed alive, Rox D, Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr. After waiting, his expression suddenly became extremely dignified. Nemas, what's wrong with the situation? Their 4 top powers united to kill Luo Lei and wanted to catch turtles in an urn on the island of Shengu. As a result, Luo Lei not only was not afraid, but he also released a big move with his backhand, pinching the 3 CP0 leaders to death, making them feel like they suddenly changed from hunters to prey. This is a bit of a pain in the A. Captain Rox, is something wrong with the situation? Yes, this Luo Lei's trump card is stronger than expected. Facing the giant Avalokitesvera statue, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, and John frowned. Killing Luo Lei was more difficult than they thought. Do not worry. Rocks D. Zebek took out a cigar from his bosom and said coldly, the chiefs of the three CP0s are just like idiots. They want to steal the limelight and attack rashly. If they die, they will die. Don't take it to heart, and compared with the high-end combat power of naval headquarters, the overall length of CP0 is like garbage. HMPH. Rocks, be careful what you say. Hearing this sentence, Kong couldn't help but scolded. CP0's chief was also killed to kill Luo Lei. Advertisement. Marshal Kong. Laozi speaks out of his mouth. Can you beat me if you don't agree? Rocks D. Zebek didn't give Kong any face at all. He took a sip of the lit cigar and said solemnly, if it weren't for the situation, we Rocks pirate would not be able to cooperate with you Marine. Do we Marine want to work with you evil pirates? Not to mention it's okay. As soon as Kong didn't respond, Zephyr couldn't help shouting angrily, you big pirates, burn, kill, loot and do all kinds of evil, just like Luo Lei, you should be damned. Since we do all kinds of evil, then as a righteous Marine, how could you, the high-ranking people, bow down and cooperate with us? Rocks D. Zebek didn't even look at Zephyr, he exhaled a few puffs of white smoke, and said slowly. This. Zephyr opened his mouth, he wanted to say something, but he could only clench his fists in grief. In fact, Marine, who takes maintaining justice as his mission, doesn't want to cooperate with the pirates, but, facing the orders of the world government 5 elders and celestial dragons, they have to obey and respect the orders. If you can't speak, then shut up for us. Upon seeing this, Golden Lion Shiki said sarcastically, if the 5 elders hadn't taken the initiative to ask us, do you think we would have cooperated with your Marine? Ha ha ha. Silver Axe laughed and said rebelliously, Marine is just a bunch of garbage. What did you say? Dare to slander our Marine? Zephyr and Sengoku couldn't take it any longer, and even Kong and Garp had a flash of anger on their cheeks. The clay figurine still has 3 points of anger. What's more, they are Marine's strongest fighting force. Cooperating with pirates has touched the bottom line, and now being insulted by pirates face to face is tolerable or unbearable. First said Marine was trash. Others will be afraid of you Marine, but we Rocks pirate are not. Do you dare to do anything against the will of the world government and celestial dragons? Forgive you and dare not. Quote. Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John are not afraid to show provocation at Zephyr and others, quite a kind of taste that you can do anything to us, we will eat you. I can't bear it anymore. The next moment, Zephyr twisted his body and roared angrily, you pirates deserve justice. Marshal Kong, restrain your subordinates. Looking at Zephyr who was out of control, Gal D. Roger shook his head displeased and couldn't help but say, this is not the time for infighting. Our priority is to cooperate to destroy Luo Lei. Zephyr, enough. Kong Sora took a deep breath, suppressed his inner displeasure, and scolded, Marine has to obey orders, since both the world government and celestial dragons have ordered, even if the object of cooperation is pirates, it doesn't matter. Quote. Advertisement. Marshal Kong. Zephyr let out an indignant cry, then turned his eyes to Sengoku and Garp. As long as they can stand up for Marine's justice and dignity. Then there's still a chance. Pity. Zephyr is obviously overthinking. Sengoku has calmed down from the state of excitement just now, with no sadness or joy on his face, and he doesn't seem to see the provocative expressions on the faces of Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, and John. Garp is even more outrageous. I don't know where I found a packet of senbei, and I was eating it on my own. I understand. Zephyr is not a fool. He gave a miserable smile, clenched his fists, lowered his head, and gritted his teeth and said, Marshal Kong, I will obey the order and cooperate with the pirates well. Very good. Kong nodded with satisfaction and didn't want to say anything more. He is Marine, but he is also a politician who wants to climb up. Of course, he must focus on the overall situation. No matter what the situation, he must unconditionally listen to the words of the world government and celestial dragons. Thinking of this, Kong Sora also watched Sengoku with great satisfaction. Such a temperament and a high degree of loyalty to the world government are the best candidates for Marshal Marine, and he is not wrong. Alas, you'd better restrain your subordinates. But, just at this time, after taking a bite of the senbei, Garp sighed and glanced at Rocks D. Zebek and Gal D. Roger with sharp eyes, threatening. Otherwise, I will do nothing in my next life, and I will just focus on it. Watching you fight. Chapter 7 Armed Buddha, second kneeling for flowers and evaluation. After saying this, Garp put away the senbei in his hand, clenched his fist, and a feeling of oppression that almost suffocated broke out. What did you say? Ignoring Garp's explosive breath, Golden Lion Shiki grinned and said disapprovingly, Garp, are you too arrogant? Yes. Garp shook his head, his mind moved, and strands of jet black armament hockey wrapped around his fist, wrapping the entire fist like an iron fist made of steel. Immediately after, he walked straight towards Golden Lion Shiki, as if he was about to fight if he disagreed. Seeing Garp who seemed to be really moving, it was Golden Lion Shiki's turn to be confused. Damn, why is Garp playing this shit out of common sense? Didn't you see that even Zephyr had endured it? No way. Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, and Akoku also looked at each other, and each could see the worry in their eyes. If Garp really did it, their alliance against Luo Lei would be disintegrated. Marshal Kong. Rocks D. Zebek wasn't sure what Garp was trying to do, so he glanced at Kong with an ugly face. My words may not work. Kong showed an expression of helplessness. He could scold Sengoku and Zephyr sharply, but he really had nothing to do with Garp, who had no motivation, and was thinking about G around, all day long. Quote, quote. Rocks D. Zebek glanced at Garp with some dread, and then reluctantly ordered Golden Lion Shiki. Now we are in alliance, you all tell me less, our main opponent is Luo Lei. Quote. Understood. Golden Lion Shiki hesitated, but was forced to nod. What else can I say? Iron Fist. Garp's reputation is blown out. If he really wants to do it, he may not lose, but the fisherman Luo Lei, the ancestor of the sea, will benefit. Ha ha ha, that's right. Garp laughed, raised a brow at Galdi. Roger, and said, do you Roger pirates want to provoke our marine? Advertisement. Where? The corners of Galdi. Roger's mouth twitched slightly, and he replied nonchalantly, we are allies. Hearing Roger's implication, a ray of light flashed in Garp's eyes, and then he looked up at Luo Lei, who was watching the play on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, and said, we will attack together, I hope you can bear it. It doesn't matter. Luo Lei said with some regret, I still want to see your infighting. Ha ha ha, don't worry. Garp grinned and said with a big laugh, before we kill you, we will try our best to restrain ourselves, and we won't easily fight infighting. Luo Lei shrugged unmistakably, and was too lazy to say anything more. As Garp said, before the common enemy is eliminated, even the unruly Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Galdi. Roger and other big pirates will suppress their inner feelings. Marine's upset. Same goes for Marine. Get ready to fight together. The next moment, Garp aimed his iron fist at True Several Thousand Hands, and said solemnly, we want to destroy this huge Guanyin statue as quickly as possible, and it's better to blast these huge arms one by one. It is good. Swish. A cracking sound rang out. As if to echo Garp across the air. Roger drew out his own saber ace, the supreme sword, and pointed at the huge Avalokitesfera. And this seems to be a fuse. Pluton Rayleigh clenched his fists, Skaba Jabba clenched his axe. On the other side, the big pirates of Rocks Pirate were not to be outdone, Rocks D. Zebek pushed his armament hockey, Golden Lion Shiki took out, Sakura 10, and Deadwood. Edward Newgate clenched his hands Kong Yunsho, Silver Axe, John, and Akoku also each took up their own weapons. Let's explode too. Kong roared, and the jet black armament hockey wrapped around his fist. Advertisement. Sengoku didn't speak. He simply took off his shirt, exposing his chest and abdominal muscles. With a move of his mind, he activated Devil Fruit's ability. Laugh. With a golden light, Sengoku transformed into a golden giant, like a Buddha statue. Of course, this golden Buddha statue is only tens of meters high. Compared with the True Several Thousand Hands hundreds of meters high, it still pales in comparison, and it is not on the same level at all. Kill. Zephyr shouted angrily. His arms were covered by armament hockey. He wanted to turn his grief and anger into strength, and his firepower was full. Therefore, under such circumstances, 13 terrifying breath fluctuations swept out, and the air burst directly, causing the sea area to tremble slightly. Are you coming for real? If that's the case, then let you see the strongest form of the armed Buddha of True Several Thousand Hands. The voice did not fall. A wisp of jet black ability visible to the naked eye was wrapped around the huge True Several Thousand Hands. In the blink of an eye, thousands of giant arms turned black as ink, and if you look closely, you will find that strands of celestial magic chakra are constantly intertwining and flowing on armament hockey. And this is just the beginning. After the armament hockey entangles, Luo Lei's body unabashedly burst out with Conqueror's hockey. But these Conqueror's hockey are not for Rocks, Roger, Garp etc. But under the control of Luo Lei, it is wrapped around thousands of giant arms. There is no doubt that this is only a very small number of top powerhouses who can wrap Conquerors. In other words, the current True Several Thousand Hands is invisibly blessed by the immortal spell Chattera, Armament Hockey, Conqueror's Hockey. Entered the strongest state Luo Lei could play. Chapter 8. Transforming into a Buddha on the top. Boom. After being blessed by Armament Hockey and Conqueror's Hockey, the huge Guanyin statue, which was already full of oppression, became even more terrifying and violent, and a sense of oppression that was almost suffocating broke out, sweeping out in all directions, making the island of Kamiya start to vibrate. Quote. See this scene. Garp, who had already entered the battle state, fell into a sluggish state. Not only Garp, but also Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Galdi Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr a surprised expression. Obviously did not expect. This Luo Lei actually wrapped Armament Hockey and Conqueror's Hockey around the huge Guanyin statue in front of him. As the top powerhouses of the sea, they can do armament hockey entanglement, external release, and internal destruction. Even only a very small number of top powerhouses can do conqueror's hockey entanglement, and they all know it. But, this is the first time I have seen that someone can use it on such a large scale. You know, the huge Guanyin statue in front of you is hundreds of meters high. What's more, it has thousands of giant arms, and controls armament hockey and conqueror's hockey at the same time. The wrapping coverage is so wide that when you think about it, it makes your scalp tingling and you can't help yourself. What a monster, it must be killed. A few seconds later, Rox D. Zebek suppressed the suffocation and discomfort in his heart, and said in exasperation, in just 1 year, Luo Lei has grown to this point, and if we let it develop, all our forces will bow down and surrender, and you will never get ahead. Nemas. A year ago Rox D. Zebek had begun to dominate the new world. But he did not expect to meet Luo Lei, the god of ninjas in Wanokuni. After a battle, he was defeated, and his huge ambition to become the king of the world was defeated, and he lived in the shadow of Luo Lei. I thought I could besiege Luo Lei in the Valley of the Gods. But did not expect. Luo Lei's cards were even scarier than he imagined. Luo Lei is too strong and must be punished. Gal D. Roger, who shares the same illness with Rox, showed a heavy expression and said with empathy, such uncertain factors must be killed with all their strength, otherwise the world government may kneel and sing conquest. Let's all do our best. Advertisement. Hearing this sentence, Kong didn't bother to refute Roger's words, and said solemnly, only killing Luo Lei is in the interests of all of us. It is good. We must share the same hatred. Only by killing Luo Lei, Marine and the pirates can have a chance to breathe, and the sea can return to its previous order. Quote. With Rox, Roger, Kong's beginning, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Silver Rayleigh, Copper, Jabba, Sengoku, Zephyr all nodded indifferently, completely let go of the gaps and contradictions between each other, and entered a state of hatred and hatred. Everyone knows that the stronger the ancestor Luo Lei is, the more damn it will be. It is in everyone's common interest to cooperate to kill Luo Lei. As for the cooperation between pirates and marine, will it have an impact? What a joke. The matter of Kamiya Island cannot be spread. As long as Luo Lei is dead, everything that happened on the island of God Valley will be wiped out by their major forces. What's more, everything about Luo Lei will be erased. After a few years, the god of ninjas and the ancestors of the sea will disappear, and no one will remember. And in this oppressive atmosphere, get out. Garp flew out first, waved his fist, and bombarded the true several thousand hands. Click. The fist has just been thrown. The air burst, and there were cracks visible to the naked eye, and the violent fist wind filled out, as if to blow everything up. Blow up this giant Guanyin statue in front of me. Seeing that Garp had made his move, the golden giant Buddha incarnated by Sengoku was not to be outdone. He directly threw his fist forward, and the powerful force caused a burst of fluorescence in the air, which exploded into a circle of apertures, and the terrifying shock wave could not be concealed by lightning. The speed of the ear's momentum bombarded true several thousand hands. Swish, swish. 2 cracking sounds rang out. Zephyr and Kong also flew towards the giant Avalokitesfera at lightning speed. Advertisement. For a while, the 4 top marines were at full blast, bursting out with extremely terrifying energy fluctuations. Do it. Seeing Marine's unreserved actions, Rox D. Zebek didn't hesitate. Armament hockey and conqueror's hockey wrapped around their bodies turned pitch black, and rushed towards the giant Guanyin statue. Kong Yunchi Air Shock. Lion. Thousand Slice Valley. Edward Newgate and Golden Lion Shiki instantly activated the power of their devil fruit and launched an attack on the giant Guanyin statue. Among them, Edward Newgate shot a white shock force, wherever he went. The air was cracked by the shock. As for the Golden Lion Shiki, he floated into the air with the power of lion fruit and shot out hundreds of golden sword energy. And Silver Axe, John, and Akoku were not to be outdone. After looking at each other, they each launched the strongest attack they could. Ha ha ha, let's do it too. Gal D. Roger laughed loudly, waved his saber wrapped around armament hockey and conqueror's hockey, and said solemnly, God avoid. Okay. Seeing this, Silver Rayleigh and Copper Jabba flew towards the giant Guanyin statue. In an instant, 13 top-level combat powers of the sea launched an attack, and 13 violent auras erupted, causing the sea area to vibrate slightly, as if to explode everything and crush everything. Call. Facing the attacks from Garp, Rox, Roger and others, Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of true several thousand hands, didn't say much, just clenched his fist lightly. With his movements, true several thousand hands, thousands of giant arms all clenched their fists, and then, like a violent storm, they bombarded straight ahead. On top. Become a Buddha. Chapter 9. Violent, all fly away. Guru. Okay. So scary. Lord Luo Lei wants to fight all by himself. The giant Guanyin statue also started to move, and the real battle finally began. Quote. On the edge of the island of Kamiya, young Kaido and Charlotte Linlin suppressed their excitement and looked at the central area without even blinking, for fear of missing out on some wonderful battle scenes. After all, is this a battle at sea as a top combat power? On one side is the ancestor of the sea, Lord Luo Lei. The other side is the high-end combat power of Rock's Pirate, the high-end combat power of Roger Pirates, and the high-end combat power of Marine. If they watch carefully, they will definitely benefit a lot. As for participation, that's fine, right? The young Kaido and Charlotte Linlin still know how much they have. Their participation in the battle will only hinder Luo Lei, so it is better to watch the battle here. At the same moment, the central area of the island of Kamiya. On top. Become a Buddha. After this sentence, the thousands of huge arms of true several thousand hands, which had not moved all the time, all moved, and slammed towards Garp, Rocks, Roger, Kong and others, and Garp was the first to bear the brunt. Do you really care about me? Looking at the nearly 100 giant wooden fists attacking him, Garp's expression changed slightly, and he said cursingly, it's just wood, even if it is entangled by armament hockey and conqueror's hockey, it can't change the nature of wood. Blow you up. The next moment, Garp waved his fist like steel, and without fear, blasted away at the 100 giant wooden fists that attacked him. Boom! A deafening roar sounded. In the blink of an eye, Garp's fist collided with the giant wooden fist at the front, and a shock wave of extremely terrifying ability erupted, causing the air to burst, and the entire island of Kamiya trembled slightly. Click. Advertisement. Under the impact of such a powerful force. There were visible cracks on the giant wooden fist, but they did not collapse, but were repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's not broken. How is it possible? Garp, who was about to attack again, changed his face, showing disbelief. To know, he did his best with the punch just now. Originally, I thought that I would blow up one giant wooden fist first, to get a good start, and then blow up the remaining 99 giant wooden fists one by one. It's good now. His full strength blow actually only caused a crack in that giant wooden fist. Shish, accompanied by a sound of breaking through the air. When Garp was stunned, the fists of true several thousand hands would not stop, and the remaining 99 giant wooden fists stormed towards Garp like a violent storm, directly covering the area where he was located. I'll blow them all up. Garp came back to his senses. Without hesitation, he waved his fists frantically, and used armament hockey to the fullest. Boom, boom, boom. A series of harsh and dull collision sounds resounded, fists collided with fists continuously, and a shock wave broke out that burst the air. More than a dozen giant wooden fists near Garp were cracked one after another, and sawdust flew around. But, the remaining 80 or so giant wooden fists were bombarded one after another. After barely cracking more than 20 giant wooden fists, a giant wooden fist grabbed the gap in the defense and landed on Garp's shoulder. Boom. A dull collision sounded. Garp's body paused for a while, and it seemed a little unbelievable, and immediately flew out, hitting the ground hundreds of meters away, causing a lot of dust. And as Garp was blasted out, boom, 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 another 12 bursts sounded in a row. I saw Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper. Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr in no particular order. It flew out, like a falling meteor, hitting the ground, causing the island of God Valley to shake continuously. What a strong recovery and defense. Advertisement. With the blessing of armament hockey and conqueror's hockey, these giant wooden fists are too scary. How can this happen? With so many arms, we can make countless mistakes, and we will be blasted out if we make one mistake. Quote. A few minutes later, Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr flew out of the pothole in a flash, staring at the giant Guanyin statue in front of him with a heavy expression. In the first wave of collective attacks, they were all blown away. The giant Avalokitesfera before them was more terrifying and tyrannical than they had imagined, especially with the blessing of armament hockey and conqueror's hockey. What kind of pervert's ninjutsu is this? Rocks D. Zebek's face was extremely gloomy, and he said incomparably cold, I didn't knock out 100 giant wooden fists. Damn, why is this happening? Golden Lion Shiki clenched the Sakura 10 and Muku in his hands, and said solemnly, resilience and defense are too pervert, 80 giant wooden fists, I can't do anything about it. Although my concussion power can shatter the giant wooden fist, it can't completely blast it. Edward Newgate stabbed at the cloud cutting, his expression not very good looking, said, the 80 giant wooden fists that attacked me. Fist, I can't help it either. So are we. Silver Axe, John, and Akoku gritted their teeth and said something. Perhaps because of their strength, the three of them were only attacked by 40 giant wooden fists, but there was still nothing they could do. On the other side, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr also fell into silence, and like Rock's pirate, they failed to blow a giant wooden fist. Among them Gall D. Roger is the most speechless. He has already pushed observation hockey to ultimate, just to find a loophole, but underestimated the recovery and defense of the giant wooden fist. Even if he cracked the 100 giant wooden fists attacking him, it would be of no use. Finally, still blasted out. Chapter 10 Full Fire. Captain Roger, do you feel something is wrong? Next to him, Silver Rayleigh took a deep breath and said seriously, this giant Guanyin statue feels more difficult than I imagined. What's more difficult? Copper Jabba shook his head with an ugly expression, and said in an unpleasant tone, Luo Lei has made it clear that he has decided on us, thinking that we can't break the defense of this giant Guanyin statue in front of him. Keep your mind steady, we have more people, and the longer we delay, the better it will be for us. Gall D. Roger thought for a moment, and then said loudly, Luo Lei controls such a huge giant Guanyin statue, the consumption is absolutely huge, as long as we don't mess ourselves up, we won't lose. That's right. Hearing this sentence, Kong seemed to have thought of something, and nodded in agreement. Luo Lei wrapped armament hockey and conqueror's hockey around the giant Guanyin statue, and also used Ishin 13 to deal with us. With the passage of time, it will definitely be too much to bear, revealing flaws. It's useless to talk too much. Sengoku, who was transformed into a golden giant Buddha, gritted his teeth slightly, and said solemnly, don't give Luo Lei a chance to breathe. With our physique, let's fight for 3 days and 3 nights first, and he will always show his flaws. If it doesn't work after 3 days, then we are in groups of 6, and we will have a wheel battle. It is good. Continue to attack. Isn't it a protracted war? 13 of us will not lose. Quote. With a few cold voices. 13 incomparable breaths swept out once again. Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp is once again warlike up. Have nothing to say. They are ready for a protracted war. This giant Guanyin statue is very pervert, but they don't believe that Luo Lei can maintain this peak state forever. Advertisement. More importantly, they all firmly believe that, as a well-known powerhouse on the sea, the unprecedented joint attack was launched by no one in this sea, including the ancestor in front of him, Luo Lei. As expected of the top powerhouse in the sea. Seeing this scene, Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, showed no expression on the surface, but deep down he couldn't help but say a word. Controlling True Several Thousand Hands. The magic chakra, armament hockey, and conqueror's hockey he consumes every moment are massive, and he also needs Ishin 13. The magic chakra is okay, Sage body is still holding on, after all, chakra is not blown out, but armament hockey and conqueror's hockey are different, too much is consumed by the passage of time, plus Ishin's 13 uses, it won't last long. Since this is the case, then make a quick decision and let you see what the god of ninja world is. The corners of Luo Lei's mouth twitched slightly, revealing a violent smile, glanced at Rox, Golden Lion Shiki, Roger, Garp, Sengoku, Kong and others, and muttered to himself, seeing that I am too strong, you can't breathe because of the suppression, and you all want to kill me, then Laozi will not be merciful, and it will be over. After all, Laozi is the ancestor of the sea. After this sentence, the immortal masks on Luo Lei's cheeks became more and more bright and dazzling, the immortal technique chakra, armament hockey, conqueror's hockey once again soared a lot, exuding an aura that seemed to be able to destroy the world. And when all this works on True Several Thousand Hands, the huge Guanyin statue, which was already terrifying, suddenly soared by hundreds of meters. From a distance, it was already more mighty and taller than the naval headquarters fortress. Then, True Several Thousand Hands just twisted its 1,000 arms a little, causing the air to vibrate, and the entire island of God Valley trembled slightly. No doubt, this is the strongest state of Luo Lei at this stage. Can you continue to become stronger, continue to increase your strength? This Luo Lei is obviously unable to hold on, and wants to crush us in a wave. As long as we hold on, he will be the last resort. Attack, let's attack quickly, this is just a return to light. Advertisement. Quote. Watching the True Several Thousand Hands erupt with more manic and domineering pressure. Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr who have launched the offensive are all the same after stagnating for a while, they all showed excited expressions. The more it erupts, the easier it is to succeed. Once the outbreak is over, it becomes a soft-footed shrimp. Therefore, they just need to hold on, and they will definitely catch Luo Lei's flaws. So, in this case, Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp. After Zephyr came back to his senses, he also burst out, and divided into 13 different directions, and launched a pincer attack on the huge Guanyin statue in the center. They're going to consume Luo Lei's chakra, armament hockey, conqueror's hockey. On top, become a Buddha. Facing the attacks from Rox and others, Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, didn't care so much, and waved his fist again. Swish, swish. With Luo Lei's movements, the 1,000 arms of True Several Thousand Hands twisted again. It was almost the same as just now. Among them, Rox D. Zebek, Garp, Gall D. Roger, were attacked by 100 giant wooden fists, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Zephyr, Sengoku. Kong was attacked by 80 giant wooden fists, Silver Axe, John, and Akoku were attacked by 40 giant wooden fists. Crazy battle is on the verge of breaking out. Chapter 11 Sage Art Armed Color Shenmen. Boom, boom. A deafening explosion resounded. I saw Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr and True several thousand hands the giant wooden fists slammed against each other, and the powerful force caused the ground of the island of God Valley to shatter one after another, spreading in all directions like a spider web. Perhaps the aftermath was too strong, and even this sea area began to tremble, and the originally calm sea level was even more turbulent. It's really scary, isn't it? One fights 13, yet still has the upper hand. Lord Luo Lei is really too strong. On the edge of the island of Kamiya, young Kaido and Charlotte Linlin looked at the island of Kamiya, which had begun to shatter. In addition to being shocked, their hearts were filled with admiration for Lord Luo Lei like a surging river. One of the top combat powers in the 13 seas, only the ancestor of the sea, Lord Luo Lei. If today's event spreads out, needless to say, the sea will directly enter the era of Lord Luo Lei. At the same time, HMPH, I've never used sealing ninjutsu, now I'll give you a new level of knowledge. Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of True several thousand hands, seemed to have thought of something, turned his eyes to Garp, and said silently. Let's start with you. Being watched, Garp, who was madly fighting against the giant wooden fist, observation haki seemed to sense something, and his pupils shrank suddenly. Immediately after, 100 giant wooden fists suddenly speeded up their attacks. Boom, boom, boom. Garp swung his fists with all his strength, and after barely smashing more than 60 giant wooden fists, one of them couldn't dodge, and a giant wooden fist seized the opportunity and punched him in the chest. Despite the jet black armament haki attached to her body. But, in the face of the giant wooden fist attached to armament haki, conqueror's haki, and the celestial art of Chadnla, Garp's chest was directly sunk, and his body flew out, and finally slammed into a giant rock with a bang. It hurts. Inside the giant rock, Garp rubbed his chest, feeling that his internal organs were dislocated, he couldn't help showing pain. He didn't expect. This time, the attack of the giant wooden fist was so heavy that he felt like he was being targeted by Luo Lei. Never mind, keep fighting. After a little adjustment, Garp clenched his fist slightly and was ready to join the fight. Advertisement. But, just as Garp was about to leave the rock, boom, a giant wooden dragon emerged from the ground without warning. Before Garp could react, he stretched out its dragon claws and pressed it firmly into the rock. Quote. Confused, Garp was immediately stunned. What happened? A wooden dragon pressed him to the ground. This pose. Plus him. He's a man, isn't he? What does this wooden dragon want to do? Let me go. Thinking of some bad pictures, Garp burst out with an extremely terrifying aura, and wanted to break free from the shackles of the wooden dragon. Sage Art Armed Color Mayanman. However, it's too late. Standing on the head of True several thousand hands, Luo Lei clapped both hands and performed an optimized summoning ninjutsu. Swish, 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 accompanied by a piercing cracking sound. Under Garp's unbelievable gaze, 3 giant red torii gates consisting of 1 horizontal and 2 vertical columns, covered with armament haki and various spells fell from the sky, pierced through the giant rocks and suppressed him. What are you kidding? First, there was a wooden dragon, and then 3 red torii gates, all of which pressed him firmly to the ground. Garp was furious, and Nima really thought he was light and soft and easy to push down. Pity, just when Garp wanted to urge armament haki. However, he found that his armament haki was suppressed, and even his physical strength was suppressed. What? How so? Sensing the state of his body, wisps of cold sweat appeared on Garp's forehead, and his heart suddenly panicked. No way. This is the first time he has encountered such a strange thing. This red torii can actually suppress the armament haki in his body, and even his strength is restricted. Does that mean that he can only lie here without his hands? Advertisement. How could this be? But, after pushing a few times in a row, Garp felt that he couldn't use much energy. Armament haki could push some, but it was a drop in the bucket. Garp, what's wrong with you? Not far away, Sengoku, who entered the golden giant Buddha form, slammed with 80 giant wooden fists, and said hurriedly, don't linger there, hurry up and fight. After hearing this, Garp, who was imprisoned on the ground, really wanted to cry, so he opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Special. He doesn't want that either. The ghost knows, how could Luo Lei master such a strange ninjutsu? What's the matter? Kong Sora waved his fists frantically and asked aloud. I can't move my body. Garp hesitated for a moment, then said helplessly, this red torii can seal the power of armament haki and the body, you have to be careful. What? Garp, are you not mistaken? That red torii gate can seal armament haki, can't it? Is it another ninjutsu that has never been performed before? Quote. Accompanied by a series of uproars. Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, and the giant wooden fists of true several thousand hands, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr. I couldn't keep calm all of a sudden. Originally, after seeing Luo Lei's focus on Garp, pirates such as Rox D. Zebek were still a little happy. With Garp attracting Luo Lei's attention, they would be much more relaxed. Now it seems, Luo Lei is trying to defeat each of them. Chapter 12 Wooden Golem, Wooden Dragon, Wood Clone. Now it seems, Luo Lei is trying to defeat each one of them. First imprison Garp, then free up his hands to deal with them. Thinking of this, Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency and sense of crisis. No way, it's true that Luo Lei showed too many cards. It was even more difficult than expected, making them all overwhelmed. What's more, even as strong as Garp was tightly imprisoned, unable to move, once they showed their flaws, they would definitely not escape. Everyone, be careful, a dignified look flashed in Rox D. Zebek's eyes, and he shouted loudly, be careful not to give Luo Lei an opportunity. It is good. Got it, Captain Rox. After hearing this sentence, Silver Axe, John, and Akoku, who were fighting the giant wooden fist, nodded in succession, and moved observation hockey to ultimate, guarding against Luo Lei's sneak attack. And Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr are more and more cautious. After all, with Garp's lessons learned, they don't want to be imprisoned on the ground and become the salted fish on the chopping board to be slaughtered by Luo Lei. It seems that the effect is okay. At this time, Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of true several thousand hands, did not show any surprises, everything was as he expected. Just kidding, in Hokage, Senju Hashirama casts Myojin Gate, but suppresses Ten Tails action, and also suppresses Ten Tails Jinchuriki Uchiha Obito and Impure World Reincarnations Uchiha Madara. Now that it has been optimized by him, it is normal to temporarily suppress Garp. Advertisement. The only downside is that it consumes too much chakra, but fortunately Sage Body's chakra can hold up. HMPH, is this just the beginning? The next moment, a gleam of light flashed in Luo Lei's eyes, and the immortal art of Chanla all over his body quickly surged, his hands turned into afterimages, and he took a few quick shots. Immediately, he performed 3 more ninjutsu techniques. Wood-style wooden dragon technique, wood-style wooden golem jutsu, wood-style wood clone. With the madness of the celestial art of Chanla. 12 giant wooden golems, 12 giant wooden dragons, and 12 wood clones appeared on the field, staring at Rox, Roger, Kong and others who were fighting true several thousand hands with a sense of oppression. FK. Don't talk about martial arts, this Luo Lei is not trying to beat us. Wooden golem, wooden dragon, wood clone, performing so many ninjutsu at one time, what kind of monster is this Luo Lei? It's over, once wooden golem, wood dragon, wood clone join the battlefield, we may be overwhelmed. Quote. Seeing this scene, Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, who were already in a tense state, Sengoku, Zephyr's eyes widened, and he couldn't keep his calm, Alexander. They are no strangers to wood-style wooden dragon technique, wood-style wooden golem jutsu, wood-style wood clone. Luo Lei can traverse the sea and achieve the prestige of the ancestors of the sea, relying on the endless wood-style ninjutsu. An armed wooden golem, an armed wooden dragon, and a wood clone all left their names on the sea. But did not expect. After this Luo Lei performed true several thousand hands, chakra was just like he didn't need money, but he could still perform so many wood-style ninjutsu. You know, whether it's wood dragon technique or wooden golem jutsu, it's pretty scary. Too difficult. It's really hard. The fact did not disappoint them. After the appearance of 12 wooden golems, wooden dragons, and wood clones, the atmosphere of the entire Ghost Valley Island changed, with a tendency to be one-sided. Advertisement. Originally, Rox, Luo Lei, Garp and others set up a bureau to kill Luo Lei by gang fights. It turned out well. Luo Lei seems to be going back to beat them. The fact is also true. After 12 giant wooden golems, 12 giant wooden dragons, and 12 wood clones appeared, they joined the battle without any hesitation. The situation was crushed in an instant. The first to be affected are Silver Axe, John, and Akoku. As big pirates with a slightly inferior strength, they are a little powerless in the face of the 40 giant wooden fists of true several thousand hands. Result. After a wooden golem, a wooden dragon, and a wood clone stared at them respectively. Even if Silver Axe, John, and Akoku resisted, they only lasted for less than 3 seconds before being grabbed by a giant wooden golem, unable to move. And this is just the beginning. Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Zephyr, Sengoku, Kong, after holding on for a minute, were also pressed to the ground by the wooden dragon. Before he could get up, he was imprisoned by the Mingshan Gate. The ones who persisted the longest were Rox and Roger. The two were worthy of being the captains of Rox Pirate's ship and Roger Pirate ship. Facing the siege of wooden golem, Wood Dragon, Wood Clone, and the giant wooden fist of true several thousand hands, they persisted for more than 2 minutes before being attacked. The giant wooden fist seized the flaw, as if pinching 9 tails, pinching the 2 of them in their hands. Then, only when Luo Lei used Sage Art armed Color Shenmen to suppress them one by one. So far, Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp, 13 Great. All the famous powerhouses in the sea were temporarily imprisoned by Luo Lei. Chapter 13. You all die for Laozi. The island of Kamiya. The true several thousand hands hundreds of meters high are standing proudly in the central area. The repeated battles have left the island in pieces, and countless cracks like spider webs have spread all over the island, and the turbulent seawater has begun to erode the island along the cracks. If anyone is here, you will find the famous Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp, were all imprisoned on the ground in embarrassment, unable to move. There is a stark contrast to Luo Lei, who is standing on the head of true several thousand hands, which seems to imply that the outcome is already divided. 1. Lord Luo Lei is too strong. Quote. At the edge of Kamiya Island, the young Kaido and Charlotte Linlin watched Rox, Roger, Garp and others being imprisoned. They couldn't help but exclaimed, as if the shocking scene just now echoed in their minds. I thought it was going to be a long battle. But he didn't expect that Luo Lei would do nothing if he didn't do it. He would be amazing when he did it. He was not afraid of the 13 top-level combat powers that were famous in the sea. Wooden Golem, Wooden Dragon, Wood Clone, Mingshan Gate, plus a huge Guanyin statue, crushed everything with the force of thunder. Trap, conspiracy. Do not, neither. This is the world government shooting itself in the foot to deliver vegetables to Lord Luo Lei. This sea is about to explode. This era will be completely rewritten. From now on, the name of the ancestors at sea will be famous in the whole sea. After the initial shock and horror, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin couldn't help but have thoughts in their minds, and they were filled with ecstasy, without hesitation. It's really nice. When this time is over, I must let Lord Luo Lei teach me ninjutsu. Kaido grinned and said with anticipation, I actually always wanted to be a ninja. Ha ha, advertisement. After hearing this, Charlotte Linlin blinked, and like Kaido, she didn't bother to expose him. In the sea, ninjas have never been the mainstream. The ninjas in Wanokuni are also a group of garbage. If Luo Lei was not born, and redefine what a ninja is, ninjas may gradually disappear in the long river of history. At this time, in the center of Kamiya Island, quiet. Except for the sound of the roaring waves. A dead still, Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp. The face is ugly to see. Ultimate shame. This time they were humiliated and thrown home, and all pride and dignity were shattered. After finally letting go of the previous suspicion, Marine and the pirates reached a cooperation and wanted to kill Luo Lei by means of a group fight, but he didn't expect that stealing chickens would not be enough to lose rice, so he took himself in. If this gets out, Rox pirate, Roger pirates, Marine will all be discredited and laughable. It seems that they thought of the seriousness of the matter. Among them, Rox, Roger, Kong and others were still trying to stand up and get rid of the suppression of the Red Torii, but found that no matter how hard they tried, armament hockey was suppressed. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Rox D. Zebek only tried a few times before he roared in exasperation. Luo Lei, if you have the ability, let us all go and fight you for 500 rounds. Damn. Golden Lion Shiki grinned and scolded. The power of lion fruit has also been suppressed. How can this Red Torii be so pervert? My shock force was also contained. Edward Newgate responded somewhat incredulously. Rayleigh, what should I do now? Not far away. After struggling for a while, Copper Jabba said with a little urgency, if this continues, we may all be killed by Luo Lei. What else can I do? Rayleigh took a deep breath and said without thinking, instead of sitting still, let's all fight back together. That's right. Gal D. Roger's observation hockey seemed to sense something and said excitedly, if I didn't misunderstand, the power of these Red Torii gates is gradually diminishing, and Luo Lei can't hold on for long. What? Advertisement? Really? Then we will resist together, and we will definitely have a chance to break free. Quote. The voice did not fall, accompanied by exclamations. Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr. Garp's eyes light up without hesitation, and began to struggle and resist again. They are not fools and idiots. Since Roger's observation hockey senses it, it proves that Luo Lei must also be somewhat powerless. As long as they persevere, then they are not defeated yet, and there is still a chance to turn defeat into victory. Besides, it's not their style to take it easy. I do feel a little overwhelmed. At this time, Luo Lei stood on the head of true several thousand hands, looking down at the imprisoned Rox, Roger, Kong and others, and said calmly, but, it's okay to kill you one by one. Quote. So, you all die. The voice did not fall. A cold look flashed across Luo Lei's eyes. As an ancestor of the sea, he can do whatever he wants. Since these guys dare to unite to smite him, they will be punished. Must die. There is also the world government of Shiri, who dares to set a trap on the island of God, damn it. On top. Become a Buddha. Chapter 14 Shocking 5 Elders. Holy Land Mariejois. This is the residence of the world's highest power, 5 elders, and the seat of the world government. At this time, inside a castle of the world government. In a conference room on the top floor, five elders are standing or sitting, looking at the projected image in front of them with a relaxed face. On the image, there is a picture of Luo Lei surrounded by rocks, Roger, Kong, Garp, Sengoku and others. That's right. After formulating a plan to eradicate Luo Lei, the world government placed a video phone bug in a hidden place on the island in advance. They wanted to know the battle situation on the island of Kamiya in real time and see how Luo Lei would be killed and completely disappear into the sea. Ha ha ha, the plan was successful. This time, Luo Lei is doomed. Yes, I can finally give celestial dragons an explanation. Want to be the ancestor of our world government. This Luo Lei is still too tender and naive. The top combat power of 13 oceans, plus the 3 chiefs of CP0, I can't figure out how to lose. Quote. Accompanied by a series of relaxed voices, the five elders looked at the scene in the picture. Their expressions were very indifferent, and they did not show worried and solemn expressions. Perhaps it was too relaxed, and the 5 elders with the highest status also drank happily. A sip of hot tea. Now that everything is ready, I only owe the east wind. And this time, the world government broke the rules, ignored Marine's advice, and took the initiative to contact the Rocks Pirate and Roger Pirates, just to ensure that everything was safe. Certainly, the 5 elders also have their own minds. That is, if Luo Lei kills a few big pirates, it will be more than happy. As for why Luo Lei must be killed, it's not because Luo Lei's actions have broken through the limits of the world government and affected the rule of the world government, especially killing celestial dragons without any scruples, which makes the world government intolerable. It is impossible to endure. However, the ideal is full, the reality is very skinny. Advertisement. With the start of the battle, Luo Lei gave everyone a dismay, that is, the overlord who cultivated Conqueror's Haki to ultimate, and instantly defeated Roger, Rocks and other big pirates' Conqueror's Haki. The ability to wake up to kill the king should be related to Luo Lei's behavior. A 5 elders with a scar on the left side of his face commented lightly while looking at the picture. Hehe, they are called the ancestors of the sea, but they still have a few brushes. Another 5 elders with a scar on his chest said disapprovingly, it is impossible to threaten everyone by killing an overlord alone. The voice did not fall. Luo Lei on the screen directly performed a big move that he had never used before, drew several thousand hands, and then killed 3 CP0 chiefs who ate the ancient devil fruit. This. What are you kidding? Waste. Is there something wrong with the head of the 3 CP0s? Quote. Seeing that the 3 CP0 chiefs were easily pinched to death without even a single splash of water, the 5 elders who were still watching the show with confidence exclaimed one after another, showing a look of extreme horror. Cough cough. Among them, the 5 elders, who had the highest status, were drinking tea, but they were so horrified that they choked on it. No way. They never thought. At the beginning, the 3 chiefs of the CP0 who were known as the strongest shields of celestial dragons died, and the world government also lost 3 high-end combat power. And the next picture. It completely shocked the 5 elders to the point where they could hardly breathe. As true several thousand hands started to attack, the remaining 13 top sea warriors were actually suppressed and blasted away by giant wooden fists one by one. No. You're not kidding, are you? Damn, what kind of power is this? Trash, Marine is trash, and even pirates are trash. Quote. When seeing Wooden Golem, Wood Dragon, Wood Clone, true several thousand hands in full fire under the blessing of Shanshu Chatanla, Armament Haki, Conqueror's Haki, finally, by Myojin goalkeeper Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, after Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp were all imprisoned on the ground. The 5 elders finally could no longer sit still, almost they all stood up directly, strands of cold sweat overflowing from their foreheads, and a look of extreme disbelief flashed on their cheeks. What's the situation? Advertisement. What is the situation? Damn, how could Luo Lei's whole cards be so large? The expressions on the faces of the 5 elders were ugly. Ultimate, they never imagined that such a flaw would appear in their foolproof plan. 13 top-level combat powers in the sea were actually suppressed by Luo Lei, and what made the scalp tingle even more was that the red wooden Torii gate could actually contain the power of Armament Haki and Devil Fruit. There are some scary ones. Powerful. Really too strong. How could this Luo Lei be so powerful? In fact, after Luo Lei became the god of ninjas of Wanokuni and used wood style to traverse the sea unscrupulously, they began to investigate Luo Lei secretly. They thought that Luo Lei was eating Logia forest fruit, but found that Luo Lei did not eat any devil fruit as pure ninjutsu. At last, after gathering the data and intelligence I collected, I roughly estimated Luo Lei's strength. They just made a surefire plan for the Valley of the Gods. Now, they realize that they still underestimate Luo Lei. Luo Lei is more terrifying and pervert than expected. It's not as simple as a monster anymore. And if you don't pay attention to this long-planned plan, it may fall short. Once it fails, a lot of news will spread, including the cooperation between Marine and pirates, the plans made by the world government, etc. The five elders couldn't imagine what terrible consequences and bad influences would be caused. No matter what, it would definitely cause a crisis to the rule of the world government. In the end, the clown is actually themselves. Chapter 15 It's time to end this farce. Damn, this Luo Lei is really damn. Roger, Rocks and others are a bunch of rubbish. Usually, they are all arrogant, but now they are beaten to the ground. As time passed by, watching the imprisoned Sengoku, Zephyr, Kong, Rocks, Roger and others struggling on the screen, the five elders became more and more angry, and the expressions on their faces became more and more serious. It became more and more ugly, and in the end, I couldn't help losing my temper and cursed out loud. How to do? We have already made a promise to Lord Yim. If the plan fails, the consequences may be very serious. The celestial dragon's family in the Holy Land will surely attack us too. Quote. The five elders looked at each other, no longer knowing what to do, feeling extremely aggrieved. Because, after being in charge of world government for so many years, this is the first time they have encountered such a difficult and face-shaming thing. This Luo Lei is a complete monster. More importantly, they don't know how to explain to Lord Im. The five elders inadvertently shuddered when they thought of the way Lord Yim punished people. If we knew, we should have done it ourselves. The five elders with a scar on the left side of his face gritted his teeth and said, if the five of us do it ourselves, plus Sengoku, Garp, Kong, Roger, Rocks and others, we can definitely kill Luo Lei. It's too late to say anything now. Another five elders with a Madara birthmark on his forehead took a sip from the teacup and said bitterly, let's think about how to explain it to Lord Im and the celestial dragon's family in the Holy Land. The work has produced such a big basket, and I can't explain it. After hearing this, the five elders with the highest status shook his head and said bitterly, let's go to the deepest flower room in Panchung and tell Lord Yimu. Let's go. Hearing the words, the other five elders hesitated, then nodded in no particular order. Things have developed to this point. There was nothing they could do, so they could only tell Lord Yimu and let him decide. There is also Luo Lei, the ancestor of the sea, who usually does whatever he likes. If he leaves the Ghost Valley Island alive this time, he will definitely declare war on the world government. Advertisement. All these have to be prepared in advance. However, just when the five elders were about to get up, they seemed to sense something, and their bodies froze, almost without any hesitation, they simply knelt on the ground neatly. Laugh. The next moment, accompanied by a wave of space fluctuations, I saw a circle of ripples outside the red pupil, wearing a crown with 4 towering spikes, and a figure in a black cloak appeared in the conference room. That's right. The person in front of me is Im. The mysterious boss standing above the five elders, the leader of the celestial dragons, the master behind the world government, and the master of the void throne. Looking at Im coming, the five elders kneeling on the ground with the highest status, a wisp of cold sweat appeared on his forehead, he didn't even dare to breathe, and said tremblingly, Lord Im, our plan failed. A bunch of junk. Im's red pupils with circles of ripples flashed a stern look, and he scolded indifferently, things that are more than enough to succeed are really disgraceful to me. Lord Im, we don't want to either. Luo Lei is hiding too deep, his strength is much stronger than expected. Luo Lei's wood-style ninjutsu is really strong. Give us another chance, we will definitely find a way to kill Luo Lei, and we will never let you down. Quote. The five elders knelt on the ground, bowed their heads with fearful expressions, and explained carefully, their words were so humble as to be ultimate. No need. Im indifferently glanced at the projected image, and said slowly, the current Luo Lei is already at the end of the shot, I will do it myself, and let him know what it is. What? Master Yimu, do you want to take action? Boom. The voice did not fall. The whole conference room was boiling. The five elders who were still bowing their heads all showed extremely incredible expressions. Advertisement. What are you kidding? In order to deal with the ancestor, Luo Lei, Lord Yimu, who has not done it for hundreds of years, has to do it himself. How unbelievable is this? To know, after the establishment of the world government, Lord Yimu has never moved. It's good now. Going to do something to Luo Lei. His strength is indeed very strong, and wood style makes my eyes shine, but, that's all. Ignoring the five elders who were shocked, Yimu muttered to himself in a cold tone, the sea does not allow such a arrogant and reckless existence, and this farce that has affected the entire sea should end here. Talking. The strange power in Yimu's red pupils converged and intertwined for a while, and then he took out a pen and a special map, and found the location of the island of God Valley, where there was a photo of Luo Lei's head, and immediately crossed out Luo Lei's mugshot with a pen. This guy who influences the rule of the world government should not exist. He won't show mercy. Certainly. Im has another thought. That is, the current Luo Lei has almost exploded, and she just came to an end. At the same time, the island of Kamiya. Luo Lei, who was about to cast Garp, Roger, Rocks, and others on the last journey, seemed to sense something. His expression changed slightly, and he looked up at the sky. Seeing this scene, Kong, Garp, Roger, Rocks, Golden Lion and others, who were still struggling frantically, also looked at the sky at almost the same time. Then, the expressions of Rocks, Roger, Sengoku and others all froze. Because, I don't know when, a dark cloud covering this sea area floated over the island of God Valley, making this sea area day and night. What's even weirder is that a dark cloud appeared in the dark cloud, which is more than true several thousand hands and a huge shadow. Chapter 16 Whole Cards. Uranus. One more kneeling and begging for rewards and flowers. Then, everyone's expressions froze. Because, I don't know when, a dark cloud covering this sea area floated over the island of God Valley, and when it was even more strange, an extremely huge black shadow appeared in the dark cloud. The dark shadow hidden in the dark cloud is very large, and it seems to be able to absorb observation haki, so that Kong, Garp, Roger, Rocks, Golden Lion and others cannot perceive what it is. Depressed. Extremely depressing. The entire island of Kamiya seemed to be targeted and fell into a dead silence. Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Galdi Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr had a feeling of palpitations, he couldn't help giving up his struggle, and looked up at the sky. As the dark clouds gather in the sky, the huge black shadow hidden in it seems to be brewing a breath of terror to ultimate. What the hell is going on here? What is the thing in the clouds? How do I feel that this huge black shadow seems to be able to destroy everything? No way. What is it that is so terrifying? Quote. Perceiving it all, Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Galdi Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr are all with a somewhat unbelievable look on his face, he involuntarily let out a cry of exclamation. No way. They never thought, at a critical moment, such an accident would actually occur. Kong, is this the world government going to take action against Luo Lei? Suddenly, Rocks D. Zebek, who was lying on the ground and restrained by Mingshen's door, asked in shock as if he had thought of something. No, I don't know. Kong shook his head in confusion, and said in an uncertain tone, the five elders didn't seem to say they were going to do it. Impossible. Must be the five elders. Rocks D. Zebek clenched his fists and said solemnly, if I'm not mistaken, this is most likely the secret weapon of the world government, which is Uranus, one of the three ancient weapons. When speaking of this, Rocks D. Zebek also added, even if Uranus is not one of the three ancient weapons, it must be another trump card hidden by the world government. It turns out that the world government must have done it. Advertisement. Judging from the figure of this shadow, 80% is Uranus, one of the three ancient weapons used by the world government. Once the world government really does it, doesn't that mean Luo Lei is dead? Quote. With the opening of Rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Galdi Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr all showed thoughtful expressions. Apparently agrees with what Rocks said. On the sea. In addition to world government, they can't think of any other force that can be so powerful, and at such a critical moment, the battle caused by it is still so big. After all, ruled the sea for hundreds of years. The world government must have a hidden trump card, otherwise it would have been overthrown long ago. Lord Luo Lei, why don't we leave together? But, just at this time, two urgent voices sounded. Kaido and Charlotte Linlin came to the front of True several thousand hands in a few flashes. At the beginning, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin also thought it was stable. Lord Luo Lei had won, and they were all ready to cheer and celebrate, but they didn't expect such a terrifying black shadow to appear in the sky. At first glance, they wanted to completely kill Lord Luo Lei. You go first. Looking down at his subordinates, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin, Luo Lei said with a serious face, as an ancestor of the sea, I will not retreat. Certainly, Luo Lei didn't say a word. That is that the huge black shadow in the sky has completely locked him, and he will definitely not be able to walk away. But, Lord Luo Lei, the faces of Kaido and Charlotte Linlin showed anxious expressions at the same time. Obey the order. Luo Lei interrupted the two of them neatly. He waved his hand in disapproval, and said beyond doubt, don't worry, I won't die. Even if I die, I can be resurrected. Advertisement. Quote. Hearing this sentence, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin were shocked at the same time, opened their mouths and wanted to say something, but was stopped by a look from Luo Lei. By the way, Kaido, this devil fruit is for you. The next moment, Luo Lei took out a seal scroll, slapped both hands, a white smoke was generated, a devil fruit appeared in his hand, and then threw it to Kaido of the beasts. All right, this time to seduce him. The world government put 5 rare devil fruits, a lot of gold and silver jewelry, and an abandoned baby with red hair on the island of Kamiya. After Luo Lei let the system absorb 4 devil fruits, he found that the template of first Hokage Senju Hashirama that he unlocked by fusion was still stuck at 99.9%. He knew that it was useless to absorb the energy of devil fruit. Therefore, I left the last devil fruit in the form of Yu fruit, Yu demons, and Qinglong, and planned to give it to Kaido. He sealed the gold and silver jewelry into the scroll. The abandoned baby, he didn't move, he put it on the spot, it depends on luck whether he lives or dies. Okay. Kaido caught devil fruit excitedly, grabbed Charlotte Linlin's hand as soon as he gritted his teeth, and flew out quickly. Have nothing to say. A real man can't be squeamish. Since Lord Luo Lei said so, then he will leave. In case Lord Luo Lei dies, at least the fire of the ancestor's spirit remained. Haha, after holding on for so long, can you finally stop doing it? Soon, after Kaido of the Beasts and Charlotte Linlin left, Luo Lei, who was standing on the head of True Several Thousand Hands, slowly looked up at the sky. As a traveler, of course he knew that it was not the 5 elders who shot, but the boss of the 5 elders. I am ready to start. The huge black shadow in the sky, either Uranus, one of the 3 ancient weapons, or its Im's special ability. Get it now. I have to say that the timing was just right. Because, after the strong suppression of Kong, Garp, Roger, Rox, Golden Lion and others, his strength is no longer at the peak. Chapter 17 Destroy the sky and destroy the earth, give the middle finger. Second, begging for flowers and evaluation. But, even if he is no longer at the top, Luo Lei will not admit it. After all, he can do whatever he wants, the unscrupulous ancestor of the sea. In this case, a few seconds later, the corner of Luo Lei's mouth was slightly raised, and he stretched out his right hand and pointed his middle finger towards the sky. Corresponding. Boom, boom, with the twisting sound of True Several Thousand Hands. Under the watchful eyes of all, the thousands of huge arms of True Several Thousand Hands also moved in unison, pointing a middle finger to the sky. Quiet, afraid of the sudden quietness of the air. Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr was stunned. After all, can you imagine the appearance of countless giant arms with their middle fingers raised? Is this a complete provocation? No, it's no longer a simple provocation, but it doesn't take the world government seriously at all. I have seen the arrogant. They haven't seen someone like Luo Lei playing cards as unreasonably, he's just unscrupulously reaching ultimate. At the same moment, Holy Land Mariejois, inside the top conference room where the 5 elders were. This. Lord Yimu shot, it's terrible. Luo Lei is dead, this time is definitely doomed. As this, is it the sure killer I am Sama left behind on the island of Kamiya? Quote. At this moment, the 5 elders kneeling on the ground looked at the projected image in front of them, trembling with fear, and involuntarily exclaimed. They never thought, Lord Yimu, who hasn't done it for hundreds of years, can't do it. If you do it, you will destroy the rhythm of the sky and the earth. Especially the behemoth that was shrouded in the sky over the island of God Valley and was shrouded in dark clouds. Even the 5 elders saw it for the first time. They wanted to ask if it was Uranus, one of the 3 ancient weapons. But, due to Lord Im's Kamui, he still suppressed the doubts of the infighting, and could only kneel respectfully on the ground, not even daring to breathe. It's time to end. Amo, who was shrouded in black robes in front of her, spoke without emotion, and a coldness flashed in her red pupils that seemed to be able to see the future. This uncontrolled Luo Lei should be punished. Advertisement. However, just as Im's voice fell, on the projected image, Luo Lei and True Several Thousand Hands raised their middle fingers in midair. In an instant, the 5 elders were stunned for a moment, even though they were calm all the time, they had not been angry for hundreds of years, and Imam, who was aloof, showed a rare look of anger and stomped his feet. Nemas, what is this Luo Lei trying to do? Is it contempt, despise her? Or do you think she can't kill him? Tolerable or unbearable? Kill him for me, kill him for me. Boom. The voice did not fall. A majestic wave of power surged out of Im's body. There is nothing to say, she wants to let this Luo Lei die without a burial place, never to be reborn. The other side, it seems to have received an order from IM. The dark clouds that shrouded the island of Kamiya surging violently, and countless black thunders began to permeate, and an energy shock wave that seemed to destroy the sky and the earth erupted, and swept across the sea area where the island of God Valley was located in an instant. Clap. This is the sound of air breaking. Immediately afterwards, without any sign, countless dazzling white beams of light, like the flickering streamer that broke the smoke cloud, or the anger from the gods, instantly passed through the dark cloud and enveloped the huge Guanyin statue. Pouring away with a sigh of relief. Okay. What a powerful force. We're going to attack. I don't know if Luo Lei can resist. Quote. Looking at the white beam of light, Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr all eyes widened. They all know that victory and defeat are here. Win, everyone is happy, if they lose, they may all die here. Wait a minute, the red Torii seems to be malfunctioning. Suddenly, Edward Newgate seemed to sense something, and the white shock force activated, directly blasting the Myojin gate that suppressed him. Puff! Puff! The voice did not fall, accompanied by a crisp sound. Advertisement. The red Torii that had been pressing on rocks, Roger, Garp, etc. disappeared into smoke. He is concentrating all his strengths to make the final blow. Rocks D. Zebek stood up from the ground and said solemnly, whether we win or lose, this Luo Lei is a rare opponent. I'm done. Golden Lion Shiki said something reluctantly. Such a strong person has his own pursuit, maybe I should go my own way. Edward Newgate did not say anything, but made a decision silently in his heart. As expected of the god of ninjas. Gal D. Roger showed a wry smile and said, if he can suppress so many of our high-end combat power, I would like to call him an ancestor. Sharp. Silver Rayleigh also sighed. Since the 5 elders shot, he's dead. Kong didn't care so much, with an excited expression on his face. He also did not expect that the 5 elders actually have such a backup, worthy of being the supreme leader and pillar of the world government. One day, I will climb to that position. Huh, it should be over. Sengoku withdrew from the state of the giant Buddha, involuntarily letting out a sigh of relief. Although Garp and Zephyr didn't say anything, the relieved expressions on their faces also showed everything from the side. At the same moment, this kind of power. At the moment when these beams of light erupted, Luo Lei's eyes flashed with a strange look. He did not expect that these beams of light were actually mixed with a large amount of natural energy compressed to the ultimate. Do not. It is no longer pure natural energy. Certainly. Surprise is some surprise. Luo Lei's hand movements did not hesitate at all, the immortal art Chadula all over his body surged frantically, and he patted it lightly. On top. Become a Buddha. Swish, swish, swish. One after another, the sound of breaking through the air resounded, and the 1,000 arms of the huge Guanyin statue put away their raised middle fingers, clenched their fists, and under the blessing of chakra, armament haki, and conqueror's haki, they rushed towards the sky. The white beam of light bombarded away. Chapter 18 System, I4X. 3 shift kneeling and begging for flowers and evaluation. The next moment, the white beam of light that filled the sky collided with the black fist clenched by true several thousand hands, huge arms. Boom, accompanied by a deafening roar. The island of Kamiya, which was already crumbling, completely collapsed, and terrifying energy waves were rolled up, making this sea area tremble violently. The battle has begun. Withdraw. Seeing this, Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr almost all without hesitation, they flew out in unison. It seems that there is a baby, staying here will definitely die. Suddenly, Gal D. Roger, who had already evacuated, observation haki seemed to sense something, gritted his teeth, and flew away in another direction. Now that he has sensed it, he intends to save the baby's life. At the same time, the white beam of light in the sky and the fists of the true several thousand hands covered by armament haki were constantly intertwined and collided, producing countless black thunder and lightning, which virtually burst the air, and cracks appeared in the sky, as if it was the end of the world. Look around. The whole world seems to be virtually divided into upper and lower parts. Above is the white light in the sky, but below is the countless black fists of true several thousand hands, which are fighting against each other, and no one can do anything about it. At the junction of the giant wooden fist and the white beam of light, a strange twist appeared faintly, and black cracks were clearly permeating the center of it. This is a space rift. 1 second, 10 seconds, 3 minutes, As time goes by, soon, 10 minutes have passed. But, the confrontation on the field not only did not weaken, but became more violent and irritable. At this time, the stage of confrontation has ended, and I saw the giant Guanyin waving countless fists, constantly blasting white beams of light. Boom, boom, a series of earth-shattering voices resounded. With the explosive energy wave, the scene is extremely shocking and heart-palpitating. Advertisement. This kind of battle is simply ruining the world. I didn't expect Luo Lei to be able to exert such a strong power after fighting with us for a while. He is really a monster. Too strong, too pervert. Rox D. Zebek, Golden Lion, Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gal D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper, Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Wong, who have been evacuated to sea at the center of the battle, they all involuntarily sent out a sense. In all fairness, they are all well-known powerhouses in the sea. Although I don't want to admit it, but, compared with Luo Lei, the ancestor of the sea, there are still some gaps, and they are still a little weak. Roger, this little guy didn't cry. At this time, Silver Rayleigh held a baby with red hair, and said with some doubts, is there any problem? No problem. Gal D. Roger shook his head with a smile, and said sarcastically, this child is very special, he has felt the breath of so many strong men at a young age, and maybe he will awaken the strongest conqueror's haki in the future, everyone must give it to him. He has a face, and his future is limitless. All right. When the baby was found in the ruins, Gal D. Roger was also worried for a while, but he checked and found nothing wrong, so he took the baby out of Kamiya Island. Ha ha ha. Silver Rayleigh laughed, then picked up the baby in his arms and watched the battle together. It's almost there. The next moment, Gal D. Roger's observation haki seemed to sense something and said meaningfully, Luo Lei's breath has begun to weaken. Has it weakened? The voice did not fall. Everyone present released their own observation haki. At the beginning, I hadn't felt it yet, but, as time passed, Luo Lei's breath seemed to begin to weaken. Is it over? Rox D. Zebek's eyes narrowed, and his body flickered away from Kong, Roger and others. Swish, swish, with the movements of Rox. Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku also followed, Silver Rayleigh and Copper. Jabba also subconsciously approached Roger. As for Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp also got together. Everyone is not a fool. Once Luo Lei died, it means that there is no need for everyone to cooperate, and precautions must be taken. Advertisement. In the field, as the battle continued. There were strands of cold sweat on Luo Lei's forehead. That's right, some of him can't stand it anymore. Originally, after a great battle, his strength was no longer at the peak, but he was caught in the neutral position by this shitty IM. It's just that the system doesn't have any prompts yet. In fact, Luo Lei was vaguely aware of the situation set up by the world government on the island of Kamiya this time, but the system reminded him that there is a template that unlocks the template peak state of first Hokage Senju Hashirama to 100%. Wedge, as long as the template peak state of first Hokage Senju Hashirama can be unlocked and merged, the second template can be drawn. When the result was good, he was almost unable to hold on, and the system still didn't prompt him. Isn't this playing him in particular? System, I want to take a look at the property panel. Thinking of this, Luo Lei gritted his teeth and silently ordered in his heart. Ding. Host's property panel is being generated. Ding. The property panel is generated. Dash. Host. Luo Lei. Age. 17 years old. Chakra attributes. Fire, wind, thunder, earth, water, yin, yang. Abilities. First Hokage template for Senju Hashirama, peak state unlocks fusion 99.9%, Marine 6 styles Grandmaster, Observation Haki, Advanced, Armament Haki, Advanced, Conqueror's Haki, Superior, Awakening exclusive ability Overlord to kill. The number of times to extract the template, 0. Dash. There is no change, the system, I4X. Taking a quick glance at the property panel that he could only see, Luo Lei finally couldn't hold back anymore. If he can unlock the template peak state of first Hokage Senju Hashirama to 100%, then he can draw the second template, and then come a Jedi counterattack, isn't it easy? The result is good. At a critical moment, the system began to pretend to be dead. What should we do now? Salad. Chapter 19 I am waiting for the crescent moon to rush to the sky, fourth shift kneeling for flowers and evaluation. Salad. It's out of the question. Admit cowardice. It's even more impossible, just do it and it's over. After confirming that there is no response from the system. Luo Lei didn't get caught either. The immortal technique Chadula surged again, causing True several thousand hands to frantically swing a giant wooden fist, blasting all the pouring white beams of light. At the same moment, give me death. I am, far away in the Holy Land Mariejois, seemed to be unable to attack for a long time, giving her a rare look of worry, and let out a cruel word in a cold voice. She still doesn't believe that Luo Lei can't be sanctioned anymore. The voice did not fall. Boom. Above the island of Kamiya. Countless pouring white beams of light burst out with the white light of the blazing sun, illuminating the entire sea area. Puff. This is the sound of the giant wooden fist being smashed. Puff, puff, and this seems to be a fuse, causing a series of chain reactions. I saw that the giant wooden fists of True several thousand hands were bombarded one by one, and finally, countless bright white beams shrouded True several thousand hands and Luo Lei. Ding. Congratulations, host, for completing the hidden task of the system. The system specially rewarded 0.01% of the experience points. Ding. Congratulations to the host, for unlocking the template peak state of first Hokage Senju Hashirama to 100%. Ding. Congratulations to host, I got the opportunity to extract the second template, whether to extract. Quote. Listening to the long-lost system notification sound in his mind, Luo Lei really wanted to cry. Nemas, it's not coming sooner or later, but it has to be finished when he is about to die. Is there a mistake? Certainly. Think so. Advertisement. Luo Lei, who broke the jar, still gritted his teeth and made a final sound. Extract. Ding. It's being drawn. Drawing. Ding. Congratulations to host, I got the template of the supervillain in the comic, Black Robe Picket, and its adapted TV series, The Most Peak State of the Motherland. Ding. The template for the peak state of the Motherland has been opened and is being loaded. Pity. The system prompts have not finished speaking. Luo Lei's body was blasted into the abyss under the sea by the white light, and disappeared completely. It's actually the template of the Motherland. And at the last moment of falling into the abyss of the sea, Luo Lei's cheek showed a wisp of Azu's smile, and he will come back. At that time, No matter who it is, he has to kneel on the ground, and that Yimu, waiting for Laozi's crescent moon to rise. Kaido, I hope you don't let me down. Finally. After 10 minutes, the bright white beam of light in the sky gradually disappeared. Looking around, the sky is clear, and the dark clouds in the sky have disappeared. The scene just now was like an illusion. When you saw the disappearing Kamiya Island and the vortex formed by the backflow of the seawater in the central area, it was possible to prove that everything was not an illusion, it was real. Is this the power of the world government master to rule the world? Watching this shocking scene, the faraway rocks D. Zebek, Golden Lion Shiki, Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Gall D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr stood on the deck, mind blank. Among them, Silver Axe, John, and Akoku gasped, apparently frightened and a little unconfident. Because the power that exploded at the last moment. It has obviously surpassed the limits of what humans can master, and seems to be able to erase everything. I now probably know what happened in the 100 years of blankness. After an unknown amount of time, Rox D. Zebek sighed, sighing as he looked at the disappearing island of Kamiya. I also know why world government can rule the world. Golden Lion Shiki took a deep breath, suppressed the throbbing in his heart, and said solemnly, with such a strong power, isn't it easy to rule the world? Advertisement. Gu la la la, I know how to go in the future. Edward Newgate shook his head freely and let out his own unique laugh. An idea in his heart became firm. Since the world government is so strong, he should find a home. 1. I finally killed Luo Lei, the ancestor of the sea. It's over, it's over. Quote. Silver Axe, John, and Akoku all came back to their senses, and they all fell on the deck, and there was a vague sense of joy in the rest of their lives. Roger, is Luo Lei dead? At this time, Kong hesitated for a while before turning his gaze to Roger, who has the ability to hear the sounds of all things, and asked uncertainly. Swish, swish. After this sentence, everyone on the deck looked at Roger. Although they all used observation hockey to sense that Luo Lei's breath had completely disappeared, but they were still a little unconfident. If Luo Lei hadn't died, it would be uncomfortable. Luo Lei's breath has completely disappeared. Sensing everyone's gaze, Gall D. Roger felt it for a moment, and then said firmly, Luo Lei should have fallen into the abyss of the sea and died without a corpse. Okay, great. Hearing this sentence, Kong clenched his fists excitedly and said solemnly, after Luo Lei's death, the sea can finally return to its former calm. Wait a minute, is something wrong? As long as the Rocks Pirate and the Roger Pirates are around, the sea will certainly not be calm. After speaking, Kong was a little embarrassed. He could only stare at Rocks D. Zebek, Gall D. Roger and others with guarded eyes. If these two guys joined forces, things would be a little difficult. So, under such circumstances, the atmosphere of the scene has changed a bit. Marine on one side, Rocks Pirate and Roger Pirates on the other side. Once the two sides join forces, the other side will be very uncomfortable, even in danger of destroying the group. Chapter 20. Stupid Rocks. Quiet. There was silence on the deck. Whether it was Rocks from Rocks Pirate, Roger from Roger Pirates, or Kong from Marine, they all looked at each other vigilantly and entered a state of battle without any warning. Now the biggest rival is dead. When there is no common enemy, the sharp contradictions between them are exposed. Roger, why don't we join forces? After a few seconds. Rocks D. Zebek suddenly grinned, revealing a rough smile, with heart-pounding excitement in his eyes, and said coldly, as long as we destroy Marine's high-level group here, Marine will basically be useless. At that time, the whole sea will shake violently. Ha ha ha. Golden Lion Shiki laughed violently, and responded, burying all the high-level Marines on the island of Kamiya is exciting. To shut up. Rocks, Shiki, are you trying to fight Marine? If you dare to attack us, the world government will not let you go. Have you forgotten how Luo Lei, the ancestor of the sea, died? Quote. The voice did not fall. Gall D. Roger hasn't spoken yet. Sengoku, Kong, and Zephyr all glared at Rocks and let out a stern scolding. Ha ha. Rocks D. Zebek showed a fearless expression and said in a low voice, if I guessed correctly, the world government should not be able to use the ultimate move to kill Luo Lei, otherwise our Rocks Pirate would have been wiped out long ago. Roger, what do you think? After saying this, Rocks D. Zebek turned his head and looked at the smiling Gall D. Roger. That's right, Gall D. Roger glanced at Garp, who had never spoken, and said meaningfully, the world government shouldn't use that kind of destructive power to deal with us, after all, we just killed just a few Marines. Then cooperate for a vote. Advertisement. Listening to Roger's words, Rocks D. Zebek smiled proudly, raised his brows, and said with awe, as long as we cooperate, killing them will be an easy task. It is good, Gall D. Roger nodded without hesitation and took a step forward. Seeing Captain Roger teaming up with Rockstar so easily, Silver Rayleigh and Copper Jabba flashed a look of puzzlement on their cheeks, but wisely didn't ask any further questions. They know very well, since Captain Roger did this, he must have his own reasons. Ready to fight. After receiving an affirmative reply from Roger, Rocks D. Zebek almost did not hesitate, and said coldly, we want to keep Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Garp in this sea area to be company with Luo Lei. Got it, Captain Rocks. Golden Lion, Shiki, Silver Axe, John, and Akoku all sneered, clenching their weapons tightly, as if they were about to go to work if they disagreed. Edward Newgate hesitated, and nodded reluctantly. That's all, this is the last time to obey Captain Rock's orders. After today, he will also find the value of his own existence and pursue his own ideals and ambitions. How so? In the face of the sudden change, Kong, Sengoku, and Zephyr were a little confused. Something's wrong. What's wrong with the script? After killing Luo Lei, shouldn't everyone be happy, go back to their own homes, and find their own mothers? The result is good, the Rocks Pirate and the Roger Pirates are going to join forces to deal with them, this Nima is too unethical. Certainly, as Marine's high-end combat power, Kong, Sora, Sengoku, and Zephyr obviously know that reasoning with the big pirates is unreasonable. After the initial shock, Kong, Sora, Sengoku, and Zephyr entered the state of battle one after another, and 3 terrifying momentum fluctuations erupted. Their strength is not weak, if you want to kill them, it depends on whether Rocks and Roger's teeth are hard enough. Crack. But, at such a tense moment. Advertisement. Garp, who had not spoken all the time, took out the snacks slowly, took a few mouthfuls leisurely, and said surprisingly, Roger, I hope you can keep your promise. No problem. Gull. D. Roger smiled and said softly, as long as you kill Rocks, everything will be fine. I am most afraid of the sudden quietness of the air. The conversation between Garp and Roger caused the entire deck to fall into silence once again. No way, no one thought that Roger, who had already agreed to cooperate with Rocks, turned against the water and wanted to cooperate with Garp at a critical moment. What's even more terrifying is that the tone of Garp and Roger's voice seemed to have already been negotiated. Now, this Nima is a little scary. Roger, what did you say? In the next instant, Rocks D. Zebek rolled his eyes and said angrily, did you make a mistake? You cooperated with Marine to deal with me. Rocks, you and Luo Lei deserve to die. Roger didn't talk nonsense, and said coldly, only if you die, our Roger pirates can take advantage of the momentum. You. Rocks pointed at Roger, opened his mouth, and wanted to drink angrily, but found that he had nothing to say. They can all cooperate with Marine but kill Luo Lei. Now it seems quite normal for Roger to cooperate with Marine. It can only be said that he is on the 2nd floor, and Roger has already stood on the 3rd floor. Isn't it? And Golden Lion Shiki, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Edward Newgate, who were already preparing for a battle, also showed extremely unbelievable expressions. Obviously they have the advantage, how did the 2 levels reverse, and the advantage was transferred to the Marine and Roger pirates. Now that Marine is teaming up with the Roger pirates, is it up to them? What about people playing? No way. As for Kong, Sengoku, and Zephyr, they all looked at Garp with wide-eyed eyes. Obviously, they didn't expect that Garp, this guy, who doesn't look like a mountain, has secretly reached a cooperation with Roger. This fright. Do not. It's a surprise, it really came too suddenly. Chapter 21 Betrayal and Separation, the death of Rocks, 2 more kneeling for flowers and evaluation. This fright. Do not. It's a surprise, it really came too suddenly. As expected of Captain Roger, he is really far-sighted and superior. At this time, more than just Marine, even Silver, Rayleigh and Copper. Jabba of the Roger pirates were stunned, obviously shocked by Roger's divine operation. I thought that they would cooperate with Rock's pirate to destroy Marine's high-end combat power. Now it seems that they are too young. Captain Roger has already reached a cooperation with Marine's Garp to deal with Rock's pirate together. Once the Rock's pirate is destroyed, coupled with Luo Lei, the ancestor of the sea who has been killed, it means that the Roger pirates will be unstoppable in the sea and will become the strongest pirate group in the New World in one fell swoop. Cow. Thinking of this, both Silver, Rayleigh and Copper. Jabba silently gave Captain Roger a thumbs up. Good, really good. At this time, Rocks D. Zebek also reacted, glanced at Garp, then at Roger, and said with an angry smile, it turns out that you 2 colluded together, and in the end, the clown became me. Ha ha. After hearing this, Garp and Roger looked at each other and smiled, both showing the expression we've got you. Before coming this time, they had secretly reached a consensus that the ancestors of the sea who could do whatever they wanted should die, and so should the extremely brutal Rocks. Only in this way could some cooperation plans between the 2 continue. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, Rocks laughed frantically, and roared, if you want to kill me, see if you have that ability. What are you still doing? After saying this, Rocks scolded Golden Lion Shiki, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, Edward Newgate, if we don't work together, we may all die here. Do not. Hearing this sentence, the corners of Gall D. Roger's mouth twitched slightly, and he said lightly, our goal is only Rocks. If you have anything to do, you can leave first. What? The target is Captain Rocks. Then, doesn't that mean we can leave safely? Quote. Golden Lion Shiki, Silver Axe, John, Akoku, and Edward Newgate, who were already preparing for a fight, were stunned when they heard the words, with a hesitant expression on their cheeks, obviously weighing pros and cons too. They're not some fools and idiots, Roger and Garp, they've made it clear Captain Rocks. If they stay here, they will definitely have a fight. It is normal for a few to die. If they leave, they will betray Captain Rocks and kill Captain Rocks. Advertisement. What are you still hesitating about? Don't you know he's trying to alienate us, Rocks pirate? Seeing the Golden Lion, Shiki and the others who were in a tangle, Rocks D. Zebek was angry and said angrily. Trash, a bunch of trash, how can Laozi have your incompetent subordinates? Captain Rocks, I'm sorry. Listening to Rocks' words, and thinking of the various things that happened in Rocks pirate, even partners on the same boat often kill each other. Edward Newgate's eyes flashed a ray of resoluteness, and he directly said, I'm going to form my own pirate team. Quote. Rocks D. Zebek, who was in a fit of rage, froze for a moment. Let's call it the Whitebeard Pirates. Edward Newgate touched his mustache, his eyes showed a longing look, and said, it's time to realize your pursuit. Swish. A cracking sound rang out. Edward Newgate held Kong Yunchi in his hand, and his body left the deck in a flash, flying away into the distance. As this gone, Rocks D. Zebek didn't seem to come back to his senses, he could only watch Edward Newgate's back. He didn't expect that this Edward Newgate was disobedient at a critical moment, backstabbed him, and what Whitebeard pirates would he want to form? Have they gone? Seeing that Edward Newgate was gone, a ray of light flashed in Golden Lion Shiki's eyes, and he said, Captain Rocks, I also want to form my own pirate group. After this sentence, the power of lion fruit activates. Before Rocks could react, Golden Lion Shiki floated into the air and walked away without looking back. FK. See this scene. Silver Axe, John, and Akoku looked at each other and could see the resolute look in their eyes. The wages of avarice is death. They joined the Rocks pirate for their own purposes. Now that Captain Rocks is being targeted by the Marine and Roger pirates, Edward Newgate and Golden Lion Shiki have also left. Even if they stay, it's a drop in the bucket and cannot be changed. What? So, swish, swish, Silver Axe, John, Akoku no nonsense, he was about to run away in a flash. As Edward Newgate and Golden Lion Shiki said, they can also go and form their own pirate groups, there is no need to stay here and die with Captain Rocks. Anyway, with their strength, even if you leave Rocks pirate, you can live a very nourishing life. So, in less than a minute. Advertisement. Edward Newgate of Rocks pirate, Golden Lion Shiki, Silver Axe, John, Akoku have all left. This scene not only made Rocks D. Zebek look stupid, but even Gold D. Roger, Silver Rayleigh, Copper Jabba, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp were all stunned for a while. Nima's, Golden Lion Shiki and others said they would leave. The free and easy ones don't seem to be members of the Rocks pirate anymore. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, some of them couldn't believe it, as if they were dreaming. Ha ha ha. After a while, Rocks D. Zebek let out a loud laugh, full of sadness and helplessness, but more of a powerlessness. I thought that after the Battle of the Valley of the Gods killed Luo Lei, the god of ninjas, Rocks pirate could reach the pinnacle of life. But did not expect, how great is the hope, how great is the disappointment. Just like Luo Lei, he was also smeared. It must be said that it is a kind of sadness? Of course, Rocks is not too angry with the choices of Edward Newgate, Golden Lion Shiki, Silver Axe, John, Ochaku. For a long time, Rocks pirate is a group whose strength is king, the strong are respected, and a group of people a unique pirate group born from the gathering of treasures. So, after he showed his downfall, it is very normal for the tree to fall and the hosen to disperse, and the wall to fall and people to push. As for the tone and attitude of what he said just now, Rocks D. Zebek doesn't regret it at all. Is he Rocks? It is impossible to beg Edward Newgate at all. Go ahead, soon. Rocks D. Zebek adjusted his mentality. After taking a look around, he said rebelliously, Today, I will also beat you all alone. Ha ha, after hearing this, Kong, Sengoku, Zephyr and others shrugged helplessly. This Rocks D. Zebek thinks too highly of himself, he really thinks he is the ancestor of the sea. Luo Lei? Still wanting to do it all by myself is just a dream. Finally, Garp and Roger took the initiative to stand up. In the waters where the Valley of the Gods is located, he fought against Rocks D. Zebek. It took about 3 days and 3 nights. Rocks D. Zebek fell into the hands of Garp and Roger. At this point, Luo Lei, the ancestor who traversed the sea, and Rocks D. Zebek of Rocks pirate have all fallen in the waters where the island of God Valley is located. Chapter 22. A Race History. Holy Land Mariejois. Inside the top conference room where the 5 elders were. Pat. As the island of Kamiya and the giant Avalokitesfera disappeared together under the white beam of light that filled the sky, the projection came to an abrupt end. Obviously, the video phone bug was also destroyed together. Although the screen disappeared. But, the five elders kneeling on the ground had smiles on their cheeks, and when they looked at each other, they could see a trace of joy and excitement in each other's eyes. Sure enough, if Lord Yimu does not make a move, he will destroy the world as soon as he makes a move. Even Luo Lei, the unscrupulous ancestor of the sea, was killed neatly and neatly. Thinking of the terrifying picture just now, the hearts of the five elders are still a little excited, and they can't calm down at all. Master Yimu is really too strong. With Lord Yimu here, our world government is an invincible existence. After Luo Lei, the ancestor of the sea, was strangled, the sea returned to our control. From now on, our world government is the unshakable ruler of this world, and no one can overthrow us. Quote. The five elders are there, talking to each other, in addition to complimenting and praising it is a vision for the future. From their perspective, God of Ninja, Luo Lei's death, the crisis of world government's rule has basically been lifted. There is no doubt that the sea will resume its previous development trend, which is undoubtedly very beneficial to the rule of the world government, and everything will be in the master of their five elders. Call. And Yimu, who had not spoken all the time, breathed a sigh of relief inadvertently. Too difficult. Ninja, isn't it long overdue to be eliminated by the times? She couldn't figure it out, let alone how this Luo Lei cultivated. She was so pervert even if she didn't eat devil fruit. If she hadn't consumed a wave in advance, she might have paid a huge price to kill Luo Lei. Fortunately, finally killed Luo Lei. It's just, I don't know what's going on, but there's always an ominous premonition in the depths of her heart. It's probably been a long time since I didn't do it, so I'm hallucinating. Yimu shook her head indifferently. The first time she did it in hundreds of years made her feel a little uncomfortable. Next, you should know how to do it, right? I am not too lazy to think so much at the next moment, and said indifferently. Understood. Advertisement. Hearing this sentence, the five elders with the highest status hurriedly reported, I will handle this matter well and leave no trace. Ro, you'd better wipe out this history. Laugh. It's not over yet. With a wave of space fluctuations, Im's body disappeared into the conference room. Call. After Im left, the five elders breathed a sigh of relief in no particular order. No way. In the face of Lord Yimu, the invisible pressure made them not even dare to breathe. About a few minutes later, the five elders sat in their respective chairs again, perhaps in a good mood, and several of the five elders drank hot tea leisurely. The ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei, died. Next, they just need to order that all data files about Luo Lei be erased. From now on, there will be no Luo Lei in the sea, and there is no news about the god of ninjas and the ancestors of the sea. Boo. Boo. In vain. While the five elders were enjoying this rare relaxation time, the phone bug on the table suddenly rang. Looking at the ringing phone bug, the five elders with the highest status couldn't help frowning. It was really disappointing, couldn't he call later? Quote. The next moment, the five elders with the highest status picked up the phone bug and said in a low voice, this is world government, I am five elders. Lord five elders, I'm Kong. Kong's excited voice came from the other end of the phone bug. Oh, the five elders with the highest status showed an expression that had already seen through everything, and said indifferently, Marshal Kong, you don't need to report, I know Luo Lei is dead. Lord five elders, I have another big story to tell you. What's the big deal? Advertisement. The five elders with the highest status immediately became interested and said something curiously. Now Garp and Roger are teaming up against the rocks. On the other end of the phone bug, Kong paused for a while, and then said confidently, this rocks should also fall in the waters where the island of God Valley is located. From now on, there will be no rocks pirate in the ocean. What? Boom. Seems too surprised. The five elders with the highest status stood up from the seat in surprise. The other five elders also showed disbelief. What is the situation? Rocks D. Zebek will also be killed. Is there a mistake? Luo Lei is dead. Rocks D. Zebek is dying. Doesn't that mean double happiness is coming? It's really God bless the world government. Tell me about it specifically. The next moment, the five elders with the highest status said slowly, I want to know what happened after Luo Lei died. Okay, Lord five elders. Quote. Boo. Boo. After 3 minutes, then came the sound of the phone bug being hung up. The five elders looked at each other and smiled at each other in unison. What are you talking about? According to Kong's report, the big pirate, Rocks is dead, Edward Newgate, Golden Lion Shiki, Silver Axe, John, and Akoku are all going to be on their own. It means that the famous Rocks pirate has become history. The only thing that upset the five elders was that Garp had reached a secret partnership with Roger without notifying the world government. But, seeing is to deal with Rocks. They also opened one eye and closed the other. And now that everything is ready, it's time for them to perform five elders. In addition to erasing some history about Luo Lei, they also have to create a marine hero and let Marine flourish. Everything is done by their master. Chapter 23 Kaido. Lord Luo Lei, I will resurrect you. After 3 days, the five elders who are already ready finally received the news of Rocks D. Zebek's death, so he acted as quickly as possible, and released one after another of their optimized messages into the sea. The Sea Circle Calendar 1486 Rocks D. Zebek fell in the Valley of the Gods. Close double angle bracket. Shock. Rocks pirate collapses. The members are falling apart, and they have to form their own pirate groups. In order to protect the celestial dragons and the populace, Marine's Vice Admiral Garp fends off the Rocks pirates' attack on the Isle of Kamiya. Close double angle bracket. The latest information from the world government will be given the title of Garp Marine Hero. Close double angle bracket. Quote. When one message after another dropped on the sea at a lightning fast speed. In an instant, the originally calm sea immediately set off huge waves, which could not be calmed down at all. Countless pirates and civilians, looking at the contents of the newspaper, almost all gasped, and their cheeks flashed with disbelief. No way, no one thought of it. The famous Rocks pirate on the sea actually collapsed, and even Rocks D. Zebek was killed. Shocked. Extremely shocking. For a time, Marine Hero, Garp's prestige has shocked the whole sea, and even the prestige of Marine and world government has reached a peak. As for the authenticity of the news, after Edward Newgate announced the formation of the Whitebeard Pirates, Golden Lion Shiki announced the formation of the Sky Pirates, and John formed the John Pirates, everyone basically believed it. Certainly, some people are shocked, still waiting silently for the unscrupulous ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei, to stand up to do things and slap the face of the world government and marine. It's a pity, let countless people disappointed. From start to finish, the ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei, seems to have disappeared out of thin air, and did not show up at all. Until Kaido announced the formation of Beasts Pirates and Charlotte Linlin announced the formation of the BIGMOM Pirates, some people with a little brains showed a sudden realization. The ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei, may be more fortunate. And in the dark, the world government, which has ruled the world for more than 700 years, also began to show its sharp fangs and acted secretly. All the information and related records about the Wanokuni ninja god, the ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei, are very powerfully destroyed and erased, and the major countries, marine, and CP organizations are also secretly acting. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, advertisement. As time goes by, in the end, under the strong obliteration of the world government, a series of records and information about Luo Lei disappeared, but in addition to a blank 100 years in the history of pirates, another blank year was left. Time flies. Soon to the sea circle calendar 1500. This year, a lot has happened in the sea. For example, Gall D. Roger surrendered himself, entrusted his wife and children to Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp. Golden Lion Shiki broke into Naval Headquarters, fought alone against Sengoku and Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp of Admiral of Headquarters Buddha, and was imprisoned after defeat Grand Prison Imper. Roger was executed in the town of East Blue Rog, where he was born. Since then, the era of the Great Pirate has begun. Moonlight Moria, Sir Crocodile, Dracula Mahawk, Shanks, Buggy, Don Quixote da Flamingo, Monkey D. Dragon and others witnessed this scene at the execution site. And in the sea where Kamiya Island once was. Accompanied by an incomparably violent aura, the sky that had been clear for thousands of miles gradually became darker, and the dark clouds began to interweave to make up for it, and you could vaguely see the continuous flashing of thunderlights in the dark clouds. And in the light of thunder, a turquoise blue dragon with thunder arcs all over its body is floating there. No doubt, this is the pirate known as the strongest creature, Kaido of the Beasts. Boss Luo Lei, I'm here again. 100 Beasts. Kaido looked down at the sea area with dull eyes, and muttered to himself. Now I have not only made a name for myself in New World, but also have Wanokuni in my pocket. But I can't be happy at all, when murmured here. A rare look of sadness appeared on Kaido's rough dragon face. Over the years, he knew what the world government was doing secretly, but, in the face of the tyrannical world government, he couldn't do anything. He could only practice hard and try his best to improve his strength. Now he has made his name in the new world. Lord Luo Lei, don't worry, the era of the great pirate has now been opened by Roger. One day I will become the emperor of the sea, inherit your will to do whatever you want, and completely destroy the world government. A ray of resoluteness flashed in Kaido's dragon eyes. Have nothing to say, although the world government can erase the existence of Lord Luo Lei. But Lord Luo Lei's will can never be erased. He will inherit the will of Lord Luo Lei and work hard to become the ancestor of the sea. But, just at this time, seems to sense something. Advertisement. The dragon-shaped beast Kaido showed a puzzled expression. Could it be? Swish, the next moment, almost without hesitation. 100 Beasts. Kaido withdrew from the blue dragon state and plunged into the sea, setting off huge waves dozens of meters high. Half an hour later, the beast Kaido flew out from the depths of the sea, suspended in midair, looking at the wooden golem in his hand that was almost identical to that of Lord Luo Lei, showing a look of surprise. He just felt a faint familiar breath. After diving into the depths of the seabed, he found this wooden golem exactly like Mr. Luo Lei in a deep seafloor crack. Could it be that Lord Luo Lei is suggesting something to me? Looking at the wooden golem in his hand, 100 Beasts. Kaido frowned, showing a puzzled expression. He has been to the sea area where the island of Kamiya is located many times. Why did he only perceive this wooden golem this time? It is really inconceivable. Don't worry, after returning to the island of ghosts, I will offer up Lord Luo Lei. The next moment, Beast Kaido grinned, picked up wooden golem and wanted to kiss him excitedly. However, just when Kaido wanted to kiss, a series of voices resounded in his mind. Kaido, When you find this wooden golem, it proves that you already have the strength to protect yourself. I'll tell you a secret. Actually, I'm not dead yet. As long as you collect 100 devil fruits and let this wooden golem absorb the devil fruit's energy, I will be able to awaken from the state of wooden golem and reign over the entire sea again. Stunned, hearing the words in his head, Beast Kaido couldn't help widening his eyes. Looking at the wooden golem in his hand was like looking at a ghost, and wanted to throw it away. What's the situation? Lord Luo Lei isn't dead yet. Still need 100 devil fruit to wake up from wooden golem? Someone was lying to him, right? However, thinking of Lord Luo Lei's bizarre and unpredictable abilities, Beast Kaido still showed a flickering gleam in his eyes. Taking a gamble, the bicycle turns into a motorcycle. He still intends to gamble, but Mr. Luo Lei has now become a taboo of the world government. Leaking a little bit of information will lead to disastrous consequences. Therefore, if you want to resurrect Lord Luo Lei, you can only do it in secret, and no one can tell it. In this case, 100 Beasts Kaido turned into a blue dragon and disappeared in the sea area. Chapter 24 Fire Festival. Go to West Blue to resurrect my elder brother's motherland. 2 more kneeling for flowers and evaluation. Time flies, in a blink. Then came the year of the Sea Circle calendar 1524. Wanokuni, on the night of the Fire Festival, after so many years of forbearance, the Beast Kaido, who was already one of the 4 emperors, finally did not intend to bear it anymore. Not only did he publicly announce that he had the ancient weapon in his hands, but he would also replace Wanokuni with the name of Shin Onishima as the new country name, and transfer everything from Onishima to the Flower City, Pirate Empire. At the same time, he also decapitated the opposing Kurozumi Orochi, and subdued some of Wanokuna's samurai and Yui Fanzong. Certainly, there's one more thing the Beasts Kaido didn't say. That is, over the years, he has been working hard to develop Beasts Pirates while secretly resurrecting Mr. Luo Lei. Now he is only 5 devil fruits away from resurrecting Mr. Luo Lei. So, after forming the Pirate Empire, he will lead his men to witness the historic moment. When he thought of Wanokuna's powerful and surprised appearance after Lord Luo Lei's resurrection, Beast Kaido couldn't help but smile proudly. Shibe should treat each other with admiration for 3 days. After so many years, it is time to let Lord Luo Lei know that he, the Beast Kaido, has also grown up thoroughly and can be on his own. Pity, plans can't keep up with any changes. Just as 100 Beasts Kaido was about to execute Momonosuke, he was attacked in vain by the 9 men of the Red Sheath, except Kurozumi Kanjuro and Izo, and his body was stabbed with a knife without any precaution. Next, an earth-shattering war is inevitable. Beasts Kaido and BIGMOM. Charlotte Linlin battles fiercely against 5 wicked generations of Monkey D. Luffy, Roronoa Zoro, Eustace Kid, Kira, Trafalgar Law. Boom. Boom. A deafening roar resounded. In the constant confrontation, Monkey D. Luffy lost and fought repeatedly, showing amazing fighting talent and potential, and finally awakened Rubber Fruit to the 5th gear and entered the Nika form. A terrifying aura swept out from Luffy's body. In front of everyone's eyes, Luffy's hair and clothes turned white, his hair became like flames, and the steam streamer wrapped around his neck and armpits, as if it had changed a shape, shocking the audience. And after entering Nika form, Luffy grabbed Kaido back to the roof and fought him again, completely unreasonable. How is this possible? Mid-air, Kaido in the form of a blue dragon is a little confused. The battle has been going on until now. He thought he had won, but he didn't expect Luffy to be like Destiny Child, a crazy explosion. Advertisement a stick. Luffy learned emission, 2 sticks. Luffy learned Conqueror's Hockey Twist, 3 sticks. Luffy immediately awakened the fruit and changed into Nika's form. Nima's? What is this? Co-authoring him became a teacher, specially to make Luffy grow stronger? No. It's Joey Boyle. Looking at Luffy who entered Nika form, Kaido of the Beasts seemed to have thought of something. In addition to his horrified expression, he showed a sudden realization. It's not that Luffy's talent is too strong, but the legendary Joey Boy is subtly changing Luffy. When he thinks that he told Jin that the person who can defeat him in the future is Joey Boy, the Beast Kaido can't help showing a bitter color. Who knows Rubber Fruit? Is it the legendary Renren Fruit, you demons, Nika form Devil Fruit? He didn't lose to Luffy, but to the legendary Joey Boyle. This battle should be passed down through the ages, right? The next moment, Beast Kaido not only was not afraid, but there was a trace of excitement and violence in his eyes, and he muttered to himself, Lord Luo Lei, I will not let you down, even if it is death, I will fight until the last moment, just like you before. Rubber Ape Shinso. At this time, Luffy didn't have any intention of showing mercy. The huge fists covered with Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki, with the power of Nika form, bombarded Kaido with the power of destroying the world. Clap. Clap. This is the sound of air bursting. Maybe it is too strong, and there are countless black thunderbolts on the huge fist, which makes the entire flower capital tremble slightly. Ha ha ha. Very good. I will catch your attack from the front. Do you hear that, Straw Hat? Facing this attack, Beast Kaido was not afraid at all and laughed loudly. 20 years ago, after the heroes of this country were burned alive, this place has become a lawless country. By the way, Straw Hat, what kind of world are you going to create? After hearing this, Luffy, who entered Nika form, said without thinking, I want to create a world where my friends can eat to their fullest. Really? Then you might be disappointed. Thang Long Flame 8 trigrams. With Kaido's unbridled voice, a fire dragon with its head wrapped around Conqueror's haki, as if it was about to burn everything, appeared in midair and then, in full view, slammed into the rubber ape Shinso. Rumbling. Another deafening roar resounded, the rubber ape Shinso and Thang Long Flame 8 trigrams collided, and a terrifying energy shockwave erupted, sweeping out in all directions, as if destroying the dead, not only blowing away the clouds in the sky, but also shaking all the buildings in the flower capital. There is a crack. 1 second, advertisement 3 seconds, 1 minute. Whether it was Luffy or the beast Kaido, they did their best, and black lightning raged. However, as time goes by, unconsciously, Kaido's eyes were bloodshot, and he couldn't help but fall into memory. He sold him to Marine from the Vodka Kingdom, and when he met Lord Luo Lei, he eventually became Luo Lei's subordinate. He's been through a lot, the only pity was that we couldn't see the resurrected Lord Luo Lei. Alright, up to now, he already knew that he was going to lose. Facing Luffy who was blessed by Joey Boyle, he really couldn't beat him. If I had learned some ninjutsu from Lord Luo Lei, how good would that be? So, after less than 10 minutes of stalemate, Luffy's fist hit Kaido hard, and the powerful force made Kaido's body fall towards the Wanokuni ground. However, even if defeated, 100 Beasts Kaido had a smile on his cheeks, but instead made the last few sounds as if to announce to the world. By the way, Straw Hat, let me tell you one more thing, the real master of this country is coming back soon. At that time, no matter who it is, it will die. That legendary man will let you know what is truly unscrupulous, you can do whatever you want. Wanokuni, prepare to meet your true emperor, Jin, go to West Blue to revive my eldest brother from the motherland, he will save me. It's not over yet, Kaido's body slammed to the ground, and like Charlotte Linlin fell into the magma. What did you say? Seeing that Kaido was defeated by himself. Luffy didn't understand Kaido's words at all, his eyes darkened, and he fell towards the bottom. On the other side, Momonosuke was so exhausted that he was so tired that he closed his eyes. At this time, seeing the beast Kaido was defeated. When the people in the flower capital were excited, they all began to fly lanterns to their heart's content. And before Kaido's words were finished, Jin seemed to have been prepared for a long time, and when his mind moved, he turned into a toothless pterosaur and flew out. Chapter 25 The New Four Emperors Kaido's Last Cry. Hardly anyone's attention, after all, the sea now. Not to mention the ancestor Luo Lei, no one even knows about Rox D. Zebek, everyone knows only the pirate king who started the era of pirates, Gold D. Roger. So, after 4 emperors Kaido and Big Mom were swallowed by magma. Duke Inuarashi and Kappa Kasatsu hardly hesitated, and they used light painting to spread the image of the Flower City to Bola Town, Tuden, and Ebisu Town. I want everyone in Wanokuni to know that Kaido of the Beasts and Charlotte Linlin, one of the 4 emperors, have both been defeated, with the joint efforts of the Ninja Pirate Fur Samurai Alliance. At the same moment, Momonosuke, who was pushed out, raised his long sword and began to address the entire Wanokuni. Kaido, Orochi, Beasts Pirates, all evils that threaten this country are now punished. The name that my father gave to Shaw means, invincible in the world, even if it is a dry land, Shaw will make this country a Taiyuan Township. I would like to do my best for this, please help me too. After more than 20 years, I am waiting to save you folks, from now on, I will. Following Momonosuke's passionate speech, after the initial surprise, the people in the flower capital, Bola Town, Rabbit Dawn, Ebisu Town and other places burst into tears and showed expressions of extreme disbelief. They didn't expect the Beast's pirates to lose, and even fall into the underground lava with the 4 emperors Kaido and Charlotte Linlin? The real general is back, and we have been waiting for you for a long time, Your Highness Momonosuke. His Royal Highness Momonosuke, you are the best. Save Wanokuni, Your Highness Momonosuke, you are the hero of Wanokuni. Accompanied by excited voices, the people of Wanokuni began to dance, shouting with joyful expressions to His Highness Momonosuke. See this scene, Cat Viper, Kazuki Hiyori, Denjiro and others were already crying bitterly, and the Straw Hats and others also showed gratifying smiles. However, against such a cheering background, advertisement. In the coastal waters of Wanokuni, the supergiant elephant that has lived for more than 1,000 years, is the elephant owner of the legendary Joey Boy's partner, but fell into silence. After the awakening of Luffy's devil fruit, Shang Lord used the voice of all things to hear the drumbeat of liberation that he had not heard for hundreds of years, and knew that his old friend Joey Boyle was coming back. It's a good thing, it is also the reason why the elephant has persisted for so many years. But Kaido's last sentence made the elephant owner fall into absolute silence and depression. Go to West Blue to revive the motherland. If it guesses correctly, this motherland should be the god of ninjas who ruled Wanokuni at the beginning, the ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei. Joey Boye is back. Luo Lei is coming back too? Shangzu's heart is a little confused. This Luo Lei is obviously dead without a place to be buried. Can he really be resurrected? You have to know that Joey Boyle has been in the layout for hundreds of years, and finally waited for Luffy. I don't understand, what makes the elephant even more tangled is that it doesn't know if it should tell Momonosuke, who is elated, Luffy and others. Luo Lei's strength, it has been seen before. According to legend, Rox, Roger, Marines Garp and others are all his defeated soldiers. Once resurrected, the consequences will be unimaginable. Forget it, what if Kaido was talking nonsense before he died? Just wanted Jin to escape Wanokuni. The Elephant Lord hesitated for a while. Finally, he shook his head with his huge head. It has already decided to stay in the coastal waters of Wanokuni for the time being, and wait for the news to see if Luo Lei will be resurrected. The other side, Nico Robin of the Straw Hat Pirates, while happy, also fell into contemplation. The motherland that Kaido said at the end, she seems to have seen from some historical materials, is said to be related to the blank year decades ago, and the destruction of the archaeological island, Ohara, is also related to this man, but what it was, she didn't know. Never mind. Robin thought for a while, and found that he had no clue, and muttered to himself, hopefully I can find some clues in Wanokuni. At the same moment, the four Emperor's Beasts Kaido and four Emperor's Bigmom, the news of Charlotte Linlin's defeat at Wanokuni spread across the world at a lightning-quick speed. Advertisement hum. As soon as the news came out, the whole sea went berserk. No way, no one thought. The two famous Sea Emperors actually dismounted from the Ninja Pirate Fur Samurai Alliance. Among them, Straw Hat Luffy of the Straw Hat Pirates, Eustace, Captain, Kid of the Kid Pirates, and Trafalgar Law of the Heart Pirates are even more famous, and they have become famous all over the sea. This sea is going to run wild. Whitebeard, Kaido of the Beasts, Charlotte Linlin has come to an end, and the new Sea Emperor is about to take the throne. This era may have to be rewritten. So, in this situation, countless civilians and pirates on the sea can't help but have some ideas in their minds. The facts did not disappoint them. After Marine and the world government learned of what happened in Wanokuni, they were also shaken violently. It didn't take long for the new Emperor of the Sea and the latest reward order to be announced quickly. Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach, Redhead, Shanks, 1002 Ways, Buggy, Straw Hat, Monkey D. Luffy become the new four Emperors. In The Bounty of Monkey D. Luffy, Eustace, Captain, Kid, and Trafalgar Law, who have just made a big splash, has all arrived. 3 billion berry. Another new four Emperors, Qianlangua, Buggy's Bounty, 3.189 billion Bailey. Crocodile's Bounty is 1.965 billion Bailey. Hawkeye Mahawk's Bounty is 3.59 billion Bailey. In addition, the Bounty of Chopper is 1,000 Bailey. The Bounty of Nami, the Navigator, is 366 million. The Bounty of Brook, the King of Souls of Musicians, is 383 million. It is 394 million Baileys. The Sniper God Usopp has a bounty of 500 million Baileys. The archaeologist Nico Robin, the son of the devil, has a bounty of 930 million Baileys. The chef Sanji has a bounty of 1,003,200 million won Bailey. The bounty of Zoro, the swordsman pirate hunter, is 1.1111 billion Bailey. Especially with the announcement of the latest bounties for members of the Straw Hat Pirates and the Cross Guild. For a time, the new four Emperors, Qianlangua, Buggy and Monkey D. Luffy were in the limelight in the entire sea, making the Red Hair Pirates and the Blackbeard Pirates somewhat eclipsed. Chapter 26 The Peak of Mr. 3 Feet's Life. Second Kneeling for Flowers and Evaluation. New World, New Naval Headquarters Marine G1 Branch. Top level, inside the office of Marshal Marine. Akainu held the phone bug and said solemnly, I ask you, where are you now? What? On the other end of the phone bug, the green cow, which was flying through a flower growing on its back, replied, I'm in the air, Mr. Sakazuki? Where is the sky? Akainu accentuated a little bit. Ha ha ha, Green Bull laughed loudly and stopped hiding. Actually, I have already arrived at Wanokuni. Damn. Akainu's face suddenly became gloomy, and he said coldly, go to Wanokuni and never do unnecessary things. If you can clean up the mess, you can clean up the mess. If you can't, then withdraw. Do you understand? There is news from the world government that CP0 has also sent someone to Wanokuni, please pay attention. It's really long-winded, I know. Green Bull showed a disapproving expression, and hung up the phone worm neatly. Boo. Boo. Listening to the hung-up bug, Akainu put down the phone bug, his face became extremely gloomy. This green cow actually sneaked up to Wanokuni, didn't he know that even if he went to Wanokuni now, he might have to be slapped twice? Do you really think the Straw Hat Pirates are vegetarians? Thinking of this, Akainu couldn't help clenching his fists. Former four Emperors Kaido of the Beasts and Charlotte Linlin became the stepping stones for Straw Hat Luffy. Now the pressure is on Marine's side. I just hope the Green Bulls can control their proportions in Wanokuni. There is also a big problem with the World Summit. The Revolutionary Army under the leadership of Sabo repelled the two admiral and successfully rescued the Tyrant Bear, and the King of Alabasta died and Princess Vivi disappeared. Have a headache? Akainu couldn't help rubbing his head. During this time, all kinds of things have popped up, making him a little powerless. Boom. Sudden, a crisp knock sounded on the door. Advertisement. I saw the director of Marine Crime Bureau, Dark Horse, walked in with a puzzled look. What's matter? Seeing the person coming, Akainu adjusted his mentality and said, has the investigation of the World Summit progressed? There is some progress. Dark Horse found a chair at random and sat down, and said meaningfully, the matter is very complicated, it involves the 5 elders and some deep things. According to the meaning of the world government, it will be announced as Sabo of the Revolutionary Army. Cobra was assassinated, and Vivi was declared missing. Having said that, the Dark Horse also added, the world government also asked us to do our best to monitor the calls of the Revolutionary Army. Once Sabo's trace is found, they will kill without mercy. It is said that the 5 elders will do it themselves this time. Is that so? Heard about the 5 elders, Akainu's brows furrowed, and he opened his mouth to say something, but nothing came out. Since the Dark Horses have said so, it means that the world government has unified the caliber, and Marine has no other choice but to obey. There's one more thing. Dark Horse took a deep breath and said solemnly, according to the latest information collected, before Kaido of the Beasts was smashed into the underground magma, he once released ruthless words to resurrect the legendary ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei. Jin, one of the 3 disasters, has already rushed to West Blue. How to resurrect, I haven't found out yet. What? Boom! There was a sound of smashing the table. I saw Akainu stood up from the seat in horror, with unbelievable eyes flashing on his cheeks. Of course, he also knew about Luo Lei, who had all traces erased, especially after he took the position of the marshal. He learned a little more about some things that happened on the island of Kamiya. Alright now, Kaido of the Beasts is going to revive the ancestor of the sea. Luo Lei, isn't this intentional to cause trouble for the sea and give eye drops to Marine and the world government? What did the world government say? I do not know how long it has been. Akainu asked in a hurried tone. The world government didn't take this sentence to heart at all, thinking that it was just Kaido's incompetent rage before he died. The Dark Horse pondered for a while before continuing. The 5 elders also said that Luo Lei could not be resurrected. Then don't worry about it, Jin, like a lost dog, can't make any waves. Hearing this sentence, Akainu shook his head and said, let the T-Dolphin go to West Blue to capture Jin. Now we Marine will focus on Wanokuni and the Revolutionary Army. I have a hunch that this time the Revolutionary Army something must have been discovered in Mariejois that the world government was so urgent and asked us to monitor the calls of the Revolutionary Army. Understood. The Dark Horse nodded, got up and left in a hurry. A troubled autumn? The sea will be restless again? Advertisement. After the Dark Horse left, Akainu shook his head helplessly. He knew very well that the world government must have kept a secret from Marine, and what exactly did Sabo of the Revolutionary Army see in Mariejois, which would cause the 5 elders to make such a big fire? At the same time, the seat of the cross, one of the New World 4 emperors. Boss Buggy has become the 4 emperors, isn't it natural for me to become the vice president? Looking at the latest newspaper in his hand, Mr. 3 Gardino's eyes widened, perhaps because he was too excited and his body they all started to tremble with joy. Lie down to win, really lie down and win. He didn't expect that he would become the emperor's deputy for no reason. Doesn't that mean that when he meets Sir Crocodile again, he can call him Xiaoxia? As for the record, he Mr. 3 is not bad, right? Little Garden almost wiped out the current 4 emperors' Straw Hat Pirates. When Impel went down, he used his powerful fruit ability to restrain Magellan, who had killed 3 emperors. With these achievements, isn't it easy to be an emperor's deputy? No, I have to tell Boss Buggy. The next moment, Mr. 3 Gardino suppressed his excitement and walked towards the middle room with trembling hands. He wanted to share his inner joy and happiness with Mr. Buggy. After 3 minutes, boom, with a violent sound of opening the door, Mr. 3 Gardino didn't even knock on the door, he pushed open the room of Boss Buggy. Have nothing to say, he is now the vice president of the Cross Guild, so what's the point of being overbearing? Besides, he has already thought about it. When he sees Xiaoxia, he will tell him that in the future, be more disciplined and I will cover you. However, after pushing the door, Mr. 3 Gardino saw a stunned scene. I saw that the boss of Buggy, one of the 4 emperors, was being grabbed by Xiaoxia. At night, it seems that he is going to send Boss Buggy one last ride. Chapter 27 Capone Beige. Digging up a golden coffin. 3 shift begging for flowers and evaluation. Quiet. I am most afraid of the sudden quietness of the air. Mr. 3 Gardino was stunned. He had thought of many possibilities, but he never thought that he would see such an incredible scene. The boss of Buggy, one of the 4 emperors, was beaten without any strength to fight back. Did you make a mistake? For a while, Mr. 3 Gardino doesn't know what to say anymore. The joy of just becoming the vice president of the Crusaders has disappeared, and now he just wants to quit, and doesn't want to face Crocodile and Mahawk who seem to be eating people. Mr. 3, are you here? Crocodile glanced at Galdino and said jokingly, you have become the Emperor's deputy, and you seem to be in a good mood. Do not. How dare I? I admit that it was a little violent just now when I opened the door. I'll go out right away so as not to delay your business. Mr. 3 Gardino was about to cry, hurriedly opened his mouth to defend a few words, and wanted to close the door and exit. Wait a minute, Crocodile pointedly said, you just stay here and watch what we do with Buggy. Oh, Mr. 3 Gardino's body froze in place, gritted his teeth, and then took the initiative to say, Sir Crocodile, you are doing the right thing, you should repair the Buggy properly. Mr. 3, do you want to betray me? After hearing this, there were some aggrieved Buggy, and couldn't help but question. I wasn't your subordinate in the first place. Mr. 3 Gardino said without blushing. You, snapped. Just when Buggy was about to say something, Crocodile got hooked. Stop talking nonsense. Crocodile took a deep breath and said coldly, I founded the Cross Union with Hawkeye. Why did you become the boss, Buggy? Not long ago, Hawkeye was trapped at sea by Marine and had to move his base, so he invited Hawkeye to cooperate and formed an organization that Marine couldn't just sit by and watch. Because of the lack of startup capital, he and Hawkeye went to find Buggy, who owed him a large sum of money. Just when Buggy was surrounded by Marine, they rescued Buggy at will, but they didn't expect that this rescued him. Four emperors came out. I can only say sorry. Noticing the pain in his cheek, Buggy said bitterly, I'm sorry, but I don't know why. Ha ha. Hawk-eyed Mahawk showed a cold look, and said, do you want to say sorry and become the four emperors? Don't worry, you are the first and will be the last, Marine will not want the dead. Quote. Don't kill me. Seeing that Hawkeye was coming, Buggy screamed. Sorry, we can't do this request. After saying this, Hawkeye Mahawk slowly raised his arm, and strands of armament hockey flashed cold light on the blade of Heidayi. And what do you think this is? Advertisement. Crocodile seemed displeased, took out a reward order from the Cross Guild, and sarcastically said, this is the poster designed. The C position is really eye-catching. Buggy was already a little heartbroken, and he could only bite the bullet and explain, my subordinates respect me too much, so they put my avatar in the most prominent position of the poster. When I wanted to stop it, the newspaper had already distributed to the world. Talking. There were tears in Buggy's eyes. Those of his subordinates really have more than enough success and more failures, wishing him to die sooner. Are you okay to say that? Crocodile hooked Buggy hard again. Go to hell. At this time, Hawkeye obviously didn't want to say anything more, and slammed the Black Sword Knight in his hand, bursting out with undisguised killing intent. Things have happened. In fact, the boss of Buggy can be a puppet and attract firepower for you. But, just when Buggy had closed his eyes, Mr. 3 Gardino gritted his teeth and hurriedly said, the Cross Guild is destined to be the key target of Marine and the world government. Boss Buggy can perfectly attract firepower and relieve your pressure. Laugh. The voice just fell. The black knife Yi stopped in midair. Immediately afterwards, Hawkeye Mahawk and Crocodile looked at each other, and each could see the hesitation in their eyes. As Mr. 3 said, now that the Cross Guild has entered the vision of Marine and the world government, especially as they have funded multiple underground organizations through marine hunting, Marine will definitely not bear it. Get the Buggy out of the way, draw fire, and they can hide behind the scenes and take control. We'll have a meeting later. In the next instant, Hawkeye Mahawk put away the Black Knife Knight, Crocodile dropped Buggy's head, and the two of them left Buggy's room neatly. Plans have changed. They're going to make a good plan. Have I really become the four emperors? Have I really become the emperor's deputy? As a result, only the dumbfounded Buggy and Mr. 3 Gardino were left in the room. Happiness really came too suddenly. Originally, Mr. 3 Gardino just tried it, but he didn't expect Crocodile and Hawkeye actually agreed. At the same time, West Blue, on a deserted island. I saw that the captain of the flame tank pirates, Capone Beige, was carrying a group of men, looking for something on the island. Lord Godfather, this is already the 80 deserted island we are looking for. At this time, on the beach of the island, Strange Gun, Werther was playing with the pistol in his hand, and said helplessly, I can't find it, let's go meet my sister-in-law, Charlotte Chiffon. Advertisement. No, we have to find the treasure left by Kaido. Capone Beige held a cigar and said firmly, now that Kaido and Charlotte Linlin are defeated, and the new four emperors have appeared, I need to find the treasure that Kaido left in West Blue. When it comes to this, Capone Beige exhaled a puff of white smoke. As a big pirate rising step by step from West Blue, Capone Beige is also ambitious. Over the years, 100 Beasts Kaido has visited West Blue every once in a while without warning. Due to the powerful strength of 100 Beasts and Kaido, the major mafia families in West Blue can only pretend not to know, and did not dare to investigate what Kaido was doing at West Blue. Just once, when he was on Cake Island, he overheard Charlotte Linlin, who was mad with eczema, and said that Kaido had left a huge treasure in West Blue. Others might just think Charlotte Linlin's babbling, but Capone Beige's got it. Now, 100 Beasts Kaido has been defeated, Beasts pirates have also fallen apart, exist in name only. Garp Beige hurriedly led some of his men back to West Blue. He wanted to find out what the Beasts Kaido did in West Blue and whether he left a treasure in West Blue. The thought of getting the treasure of the Beasts pirates made him excited. Therefore, even if the deserted island in this sea area is turned upside down, he has to keep looking. Lord Godfather, we dug up a golden coffin. Just at this time, an urgent voice resounded. What? Swish. Capone Beige frowned, showing a puzzled expression. Nimas, wouldn't the treasure of Kaido of the Beasts, one of the four emperors, be a golden coffin? 3 minutes later, Capone Beige led his subordinates around a golden coffin. If you look closely, you will also see the large characters of the ancestors of the sea engraved on the coffin. The ancestors of the sea. Looking at these large characters, the pirates of the flame tank pirates showed puzzled expressions. Is there such a number one person in the sea? Open the coffin. And after glancing at the coffin, Capone Beige reached out and gestured. Clang. With the sound of metal friction, the coffin board of the golden coffin was slowly opened by several pirates, revealing a wooden golem and 95 shriveled devil fruits. Chapter 28 I'm back. See this scene. The pirates of the flame tank pirates at the scene were all stunned. Obviously did not expect that in the coffin was actually a real-life wooden golem covered with the banner of Beast's pirates, and some shriveled devil fruit with only a layer of skin left. Take a closer look. Wooden golem looks lifelike. But, it can't change the essence of being a wood, it's just wood. Those shriveled devil fruits, at a glance, know that the energy inside has been absorbed and has been abolished. Quiet. The place fell into complete silence. For a time, the pirates of the flame tank pirates didn't even dare to breathe, and were afraid that Capone Beige would anger everyone. Do not. How is this possible? How could Kaido of the Beasts bury a wooden golem in a golden coffin in this place where birds don't shit? And put so many discarded devil fruits. Quote. Capone Beige muttered to himself, the cigar in his hand had already fallen to the ground, his expression was a little dazed and unbelievable. He never imagined that what he had tried so hard to find was actually a coffin. There was no hidden treasure in it, only a wooden golem and some abandoned devil fruits. If devil fruit is not abolished, so many devil fruit can be considered a big treasure. The results of it, only this golden coffin has value. Is this what Charlotte Linlin said? Kaido left a huge treasure at West Blue? Treasure a hammer. What kind of treasure is a wooden golem? However, Capone Beige didn't know that in the hearts of Kaido of the Beasts and Charlotte Linlin, Luo Lei is really the biggest treasure. As long as Lord Luo Lei can be resurrected and the ancestors of the sea will come to the sea again, they can do whatever they want. Whatever you do, you will never worry about it again. It must be fake, it was deliberately put here by Kaido to mislead us. After an unknown amount of time, Capone Beige clenched his fist and ordered angrily, find it carefully for me, even if you dig 3 feet into the ground, you will find the real treasure. Yes. After hearing this, without any hesitation, the flame tank pirates split up, fearing that the angry godfather would be dissatisfied. Wooden golem. At this time, Capone Beige glanced coldly at the wooden golem lying in the coffin, showing a cruel expression. He wanted to smash this wooden golem into tens of thousands of pieces to dispel the hatred in his heart. However, just when Capone Beige was about to start, observation Haki seemed to sense something and looked up at the sea level in the distance. I saw in the distance on the sea. Silently, a dark shadow suddenly appeared. The speed of the shadow was very fast, as if it was flying towards this deserted island where birds don't shit. This is advertisement. Capone Beige is a little confused. Some of the pirates of the flame tank pirates also noticed the abnormality, and followed the direction Capone Beige was looking at. Because this shadow seems to be flying, and the speed is still very fast. And as the shadow got closer and closer to the desert island, the outline gradually became clearer, and it was a bird creature. 1 second, 3 seconds, 20 seconds. After a minute, the whole picture of this bird creature is extremely clear. It is a toothless pterosaur. How is it possible? It's actually. In an instant. Capone Beige's eyes widened, and strands of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Tick-tock. This is the sound of cold sweat dripping. At the same moment, the pirates of the flame tank pirates also showed horror. They only felt chills down their spines and panicked inside. The Beast's Pirates Big Billboard, the first of the 3 great disasters, Jin, nicknamed Flame Disaster, actually came to West Blue, and more importantly, it happened to be when they dug this golden coffin. Uncomfortable. Although the Flame Calamity, Jin has not yet arrived, and has not exuded any momentum, the pirates of the flame tank pirates who were present couldn't help trembling when they looked at the flying figures, and moved back subconsciously. Swish. As the fire disaster, ember flew away. The seemingly clear sky has become extremely depressed. Obviously there is only one person. But it gave Capone Beige and others a sense of heaviness and oppression that seemed to be unable to breathe smoothly. Ha ha ha, how dare you dig the treasure buried by Boss Kaido? Along with a cold laughter, Flame Calamity, Jin's body fell from the sky and landed directly in front of the golden coffin. The cheek under the mask is very ugly. If you come a step late, Lord Luo Lei's grave was almost dug up, so wouldn't he become a sinner? In fact, before the flame celebration, Kaido Boss seemed to have a premonition, and he specially summoned him separately, and said something about the hidden treasure in the West Blue and the hidden location, and also said that in order not to attract the attention of the world government, he would go to sea. Ancestors, Luo Lei was placed on a deserted island in West Blue, only the last 5 devil fruits can be resurrected. After hearing this appalling news, Jin's head is blank. As the head of the 3 disasters, of course he knows something about the god of ninjas, Luo Lei's secret. But did not expect, Kaido Boss is secretly resurrecting the legendary man, Luo Lei. At the same time, I understand why Kaido Bosses brought out some devil fruit when developing Beast's Pirates. Advertisement. So, after leaving Wanokuni like a lost dog, he set off towards West Blue at a very fast speed, but was chased and blocked by a team of Marines, saying that he would be caught and locked and impelled down, which was a big waste. After a lot of work, I escaped to West Blue, but I saw such an angry scene. Is it tolerable or unbearable? Cough cough. However, the long-distance attack and Marines' obstruction made Jin, who was exhausted physically and mentally, coughed a few times, and his body trembled a few times. And it was this cough. A ray of light flashed in the eyes of Capone Beige, who was so nervous and his mentality was about to collapse. Jin, the leader of the three great disasters, seems not to be at the peak of his strength, and when he thinks of the beast's pirates that have been annihilated, Capone Beige immediately knows that Jin should be chased and escaped to West Blue for the sake of West Blue. Blue treasure. It must be so. I didn't expect you to escape. After a few seconds, Capone Beige took a deep breath and said tentatively, "Are you here for West Blue's treasure?" Treasure. Jin glanced at Capone Beige like an idiot. If he was at his peak, he wouldn't take such small rolls into his eyes. Now, let's revive Lord Luo Lei first. As long as Lord Luo Lei can be resurrected, then Beast's pirates will not be finished. Thinking of this, Jin didn't bother to pay attention to Capone Beige. He reached out and took off the bag on his back, took out 5 devil fruits of different shapes, and placed them in the coffin very respectfully. Dare to underestimate me? Capone Beige's gloomy face, and then saw Jin take out 5 devil fruits, and a murderous intent quickly emerged in his eyes, taking advantage of his illness to kill him. This Jin's state is obviously wrong, and it may not be necessary to give it a try. There is little chance. However, just when Capone Beige wanted to signal his men to do it, I saw a scene that made my scalp numb. The 5 devil fruits placed in the square seemed to have absorbed water and energy, and instantly shriveled and only a layer of skin remained. Boom. This is the sound of wooden golem's heartbeat. The sound was very slight, but it made Jin's face look happy, and Capone Beige and the others looked horrified. The next moment, accompanied by a terrifying aura, the wooden golem actually began to change at a speed visible to the naked eye, and finally turned into a lifelike person, lying in a coffin. The faint air penetrated into Luo Lei's nose, as if he had fallen asleep. Luo Lei opened his eyes slowly, just in time to see a white cloud in the sky. I am back. Chapter 29. The Motherland is online. One more kneeling for flowers and evaluation. I am back. A faint voice sounded. Luo Lei got up slowly, stood up from the golden coffin, and stretched uncontrollably. Isn't it easy? Dog Day's system when he was dying. Only let him complete the hidden task of the system, unlock the template peak state of first Hokage Senju Hashirama to 100%, and extract the second template. He also said that he could use the energy of 100 devil fruit to revive him on the spot. As a last resort, he could only incarnate as wooden golem and wait for the arrival of the destined person at the bottom of the sea where the island of Kamiya is located. Finally, let him wait until his proud subordinate beast Kaido. After passing the last message, he fell into a deep sleep. Now that he is full of blood and resurrected, it seems that Kaido of the Beasts has not let him down, but he just doesn't know how many years it is in the sea circle calendar and what the situation in the sea is like. Thinking of this, Luo Lei turned the withered devil fruit in the coffin into ashes. In the words of the system, it just absorbs the energy of devil fruit, and after these shriveled devil fruits are turned into ashes, they will reappear in other parts of the sea. This is, at this time, glancing at Luo Lei, who changed from wooden golem to a living person. The pirates of the Flame Tank Pirates, headed by Capone Beige, were also stunned. After rubbing their eyes, they involuntarily showed a ghostly look. What's the situation? Wooden golem actually turned into a living person. What are you kidding? Beast's Pirates Big Kanban Jin, meet Mr. Luo Lei. Directly in front of him, seeing the resurrected Luo Lei, Jin, who was still in a stunned state, finally regained his senses, and half knelt on the ground. His voice was filled with excitement and respect that could not be concealed, and there was a faint cry. The Beast's pirates were almost wiped out, so Jin still hasn't recovered. He still hasn't figured out why Straw Hat Luffy explodes like crazy when facing Kaido boss, and even Rubber Fruit can awaken to the form of Renren Fruit U Demon's Nika, as if he is invincible. Advertisement. It's good now. Legend has it that the man who caused the sea to go blank for a year is resurrected. The Beast's pirates are saved. Boss Kaido is saved. Those rebels in Wanokuni will be punished. Momonosuke, Monkey D. Luffy, Roronoa Zoro, Eustace Kid, Kira, Trafalgar Law and others will all have to pay the price in blood. Hear this voice. Luo Lei glanced at the scene carefully and looked at the people in front of him. As a result, I found that Kaido of the Beasts and Charlotte Linlin did not appear. Except for Jin, the first of the 3 disasters, nicknamed Flame Disaster, it seems that there is no one of their own. Beasts Kaido, why didn't Charlotte Linlin come? The next moment, Luo Lei didn't even look at Capone Beige, Mo said without expression. After all, he was reborn. As former subordinates Kaido of the Beasts and Charlotte Linlin, why should they leave the Beasts Pirates and BIGMOM Pirates to welcome them? By the way, first I'm attracting Marine, and let the world government witness the miracle. It's good now, except for one Jin, or some cats and dogs. Which cadre can't stand such a test? Lord Luo Lei, you want to avenge our Beasts Pirates? Not to mention it's okay. When he said, Flame Disaster, Jin couldn't hold back a little, his face under the mask was full of grief, and there was a ray of tears in his eyes. Not to the sad place. When I think about this time, he was like a bereaved dog, so Jin couldn't hold back the sadness in his heart. What year is it now? Hearing this sentence, Luo Lei frowned inadvertently, with a tone of unquestionable tone in his tone. Repeat everything that happened in Wanokuni recently. Yes, Lord Luo Lei, it is Sea Circle Calendar 1525 now. Jin took a deep breath, didn't dare to hesitate, and hurriedly said, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin originally planned to lead the Beasts Pirates and BIGMOM Pirates to West Blue to resurrect you after the Fire Festival, but they were attacked by the siege of Monkey D. Luffy, Roronoa Zoro, Eustace Kid, Kira, Trafalgar Law. Quote. After 3 minutes, Jin finished explaining everything that happened in Wanokuni with great sadness. Has it been so long? Advertisement. Hearing Jin's voice, Luo Lei was stunned for a rare moment, then shook his head speechlessly. I thought it was only 10 or 20 years, but I didn't expect it to be almost 40 or 50 years. Rox died, Roger died, Whitebeard died, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin went offline, and the new 4 emperors began King's Landing on the Grand Line. More importantly, the world government actually wiped out the year when he rose, creating a blank year. There is this Kaido of the Beasts' too self-esteem, in order to get their own recognition and praise, actually want to build an anarchic pirate empire in Wanokuni. In fact, if he was resurrected before the Fire Festival, not only the general of Wanokuni, Momonosuke would be dead, but also Monkey D. Luffy, Roronoa Zoro, Eustace Kid, Kira, Trafalgar Law, etc. Good fruit to eat. It turned out well. Throw in myself and Charlotte Linlin. The only thing worthy of praise is that at the last minute, he knew that Jin had come to West Blue to bring him back to life, which was a blessing in a misfortune. Ding. Congratulations to the resurrection of Host, whether to integrate the supervillain in the comic, Black Robe Picket, and its adapted TV series, the template for the peak state of the Motherland. Sudden. Just at this time, the crisp sound of the system resounded in Luo Lei's mind. Integrate. Luo Lei silently ordered. He could understand why it took so many years for Kaido to bring him back to life. After all, there must be a lot of pressure to develop Beasts Pirates, resist Marine and world government, and collect devil fruit to revive him. Now that it has been resurrected, the natives who really want to do whatever they want should go online. Chapter 30. The Motherland people who know wood style. Now that it has been resurrected, the natives who really want to do whatever they want should go online. After all, the native of the Motherland in the comic, Black Robe Picket, is a giant baby who can do whatever he wants, is cruel and has a black belly and some pervert. When he is excited to ultimate, he will face the moon with a crescent moon and let it out. Sometime. Maybe Dog Day's system. It is to think that he is unscrupulous in the sea. He has the potential to become a native of the Motherland, so let him draw the template of the peak native of the Motherland. As for the strength of the Motherland, there is no doubt about it, although it is a weakened version of Superman, but super strength, super speed, super defense, flying, laser eye, perspective, super hearing, etc. are still very good. Coupled with the ability of Senju Hashirama template, think Luo Lei is a little excited. Certainly, in general, if an ordinary person suddenly has superpowers, it is very likely that he will become more native than natives. Now, Luo Lei, who is sitting on the template of first Hokage Senju Hashirama and the template of the peak Motherland, just wants to be an ordinary ancestor from the sea. After a few seconds, when Luo Lei was still in a daze, a terrifying force poured into his body as if it appeared out of thin air, transforming his body at a speed invisible to the naked eye. At this time, if someone has clairvoyance, it will be found that the sage body cells in Luo Lei are constantly undergoing transformation. Maybe it's the strength that keeps getting stronger. A majestic and invisible energy coercion swept out from Luo Lei's body. Such a strong fluctuation of power. Feeling the breath that made his soul tremble, Capone Beige stood there dumbfounded, and he still hasn't reacted, and he doesn't know who the resurrected person is in front of him. Only know that he seems to have opened the coffin of a remarkable person. The unintentionally released breath seems to be much stronger than Charlotte Linlin, one of the former 4 emperors. Sorry, Capone Beige really regrets it. Advertisement. Knowing that Kaido of the Beasts left such a treasure in West Blue, he shouldn't have thought about getting his hands on it. Now that it's all right, stealing chickens won't cost you rice, and you're going to risk your life here. Lord Godfather, why don't we retreat? A pirate from the Flame Tank Pirates swallowed cautiously and said in a terrified voice, if you don't retreat, it will be too late. Yes, another pirate from the Flame Tank Pirates wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, only to feel his whole body trembling. Gollum. While other pirates of the Flame Tank Pirates did not speak, they kept swallowing, obviously frightened. It's too difficult. They just came to find the treasure of Kaido of the Beasts. I didn't expect the treasure to be dug up, but they dug up such a resurrected monster that I don't know how long it has lived. As expected from the legend, the god of ninja Wanokuni, this is too strong. Different from Capone Beige and others, Jin widened his small eyes, showing an excited look, looking at Luo Lei like he was looking at God. He was just resurrected, so strong. If the firepower is full, wouldn't that destroy the sky and destroy the earth? Who can match the sea? Withdraw. Do not hesitate. Capone Beige clenched his fist and ran away without looking back. It's a pity. Just when the pirates of the Flame Tank Pirates turned their heads in trembling and wanted to escape, Luo Lei, who had not made any movement all the time, began to flicker strangely with a crimson light in his eyes. Boom. A crisp explosion sounded. I saw a pirate from the Flame Tank Pirates being bombarded alive, blood and blood splashing everywhere. And this is just the beginning of a trifle. Boom, boom, boom. What? The next moment, the sound of the body being blasted and the screams rang out. The pirates of the flame tank pirates were almost powerless to resist, and they were slaughtered by the hot sight, one after another. Boom. Soon, hot sight disappears. An unrecognizable corpse appeared on the ground, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of blood and burning. How is this possible? There are red-hot eyes shooting out of your eyes. What kind of monster has the beast's pirates resurrected? Quote. Advertisement. In the end, there was only one Capone Beige left, standing there trembling in a running posture. He wanted to take a step, but found that his body was no longer obeying his commands, and his mind was blank. In less than 5 seconds, except for himself, all the pirates of the flame tank pirates were dead. What is this? No, I'm leaving West Blue and never coming back. What? Capone Beige laughed madly, as if he had lost his mind, and violently urged Paramesha, the fruit of the fortified city, directly transformed into a huge castle. Using the crawler that his feet turned into, he went to the distance without looking back. The sea ran away. 1 second. 3 seconds. In about 10 seconds. The huge castle incarnated by Capone Beige has already run to the sea, and can immediately escape on a pirate ship. I didn't follow. Feeling that neither Luo Lei nor Jin moved, Capone Beige's eyes showed a trace of fear and happiness. Pity. Fortunately, in less than a second, he suddenly dilated his pupils. I saw a tens of meters long wooden dragon suspended in midair at some point, and the huge dragon head was looking down at him. Then, before Capone Beige could react, the huge body of the wooden dragon began to emerge armament hockey, with a flick of his tail, wrapped himself around the castle he incarnated. Clap, clap, one after another crisp voice sounded. The castle, whose defensive power can be called an iron wall, had cracks, and finally all shattered. How is this possible? Capone Beige's wide eyes were filled with disbelief. Until now, he didn't know, where did this terrifying wooden dragon emerge from, and easily broke his tank castle. He was detained alive, and who was the resurrected man? Am I the ancestor of wood style? Luo Lei didn't even look at the dead Capone Beige, he clapped his hands, and the wooden dragon disappeared into white smoke. Chapter 31 T Dolphin. Jin, surrender, there are marines outside, 3 shifts kneeling for flowers and comments. Who am I? Where am I? See this scene. Jin's expression was a little stiff, and his body was frozen with cold sweat on his forehead, and he couldn't help swallowing. In less than a minute, the flame tank pirates were wiped out. From the beginning to the end, Lord Luo Lei was very relaxed, without any fluctuations in his breath. The blink of an eye was a hot line of sight, and the tap of his hands was a wooden dragon dozens of meters long. The Capone Beige of 80 million berry was killed in seconds. To know, even in his prime, it will take some time to deal with the flame tank pirates. But, compared to Lord Luo Lei, it's really nothing. Good. At this time, Luo Lei sensed his physical state and showed a very satisfied expression. Originally, he was already very strong. The Senju Hashirama template at his peak, coupled with the top-level Conqueror's Haki, the Advanced Observation Haki and Armament Haki, are not just as simple as 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 4, but 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 18, and the quantitative change has already completed the qualitative change. Now, after integrating the peak ancestor template, the qualitative change has been raised to a higher level. If you can draw the template of Superman, I'm afraid it will take off in place, right? After all, the Motherland is just a weakened version of Superman, maybe not even a bronze Superman, let alone a silver Superman, a gold Superman, a thinking Superman, and a supreme Xiao Xiao. To put it in a bad way, the Motherland and the Superman fight, basically it is 28, and the Motherland will die 8 times in 2 seconds. Perhaps the only advantage is that the people of the Motherland are not afraid of kryptonite. There is no Achilles heel. System, I want to take a look at my latest attribute panel. After a while, Luo Lei's eyes narrowed and he ordered silently. Ding. Host's property panel is being generated. Ding. The property panel is generated. Dash. Host. Luo Lei. Age. 18 years old. Chakra attributes. Fire, wind, thunder, earth, water, yin, yang. Advertisement. Abilities. First Hokage template of Senju Hashirama, peak state unlock fusion 100%, Marine 6 styles Grandmaster, observation Haki, advanced, armament Haki, advanced, Motherlander template, peak state unlock fusion 49%. Constitution. 20,630, 10 points for ordinary people. Spirit. 4,350. Strength. 32,000. One punch is about 29,860 tons. Speed. 1450. 1350-1400 ms. Heat rays. 112500 approximately 113,000 degrees Celsius. The number of times to extract the template. 0. Dash. Actually, so many more attributes. Taking a quick look around. Luo Lei's expression changed, and he couldn't help taking a breath. No way, it's really that the property panel has changed too much this time. The fusion unlocked 49% of the Motherland's template, and his ability and strength have properly achieved a super transformation. Worse yet, physique, spirit, strength, speed, all have a concrete data. First of all, the physique is more than 20,000 times that of ordinary people, which means that the density of his body has reached an astonishing level. It is appropriate to describe it as invincible, and a punch is about 29,860 10 tons of power. Think about it, it will make the scalp tingle. If it is under the blessing of more than 3 times the speed of sound, it will definitely explode in an instant. Besides, his eyes can see through, his hearing has also increased significantly, and his 5 senses have undergone a qualitative change, and his age has not increased with his death. He is still the ancestor of the sea. After getting used to it for a while, maybe I can also hear the sound of all things. Feeling his super hearing ability, Luo Lei's mouth curled slightly and muttered to himself. Wait a minute, it seems that a ship is coming. However, when Luo Lei was trying to combine super hearing, super perception, and observation haki, he seemed to perceive something and showed a puzzled expression. A ship is coming towards us. The next moment, Luo Lei glanced at Jin, who was still in a sluggish state, and said something in a low voice. Ah, Jin suddenly came back to his senses, as if thinking of something, and hurriedly said, Lord Luo Lei, Marine. It should be Marine's warship, specially designed to deal with me. This time it's Marine's backup Admiral T. Dolphin. Advertisement. After saying this, Jin's tone was obviously a little suffocated and uncomfortable. As the deputy of the Beast's pirates, the first of the 3 great disasters, nicknamed Flame Disaster, why has he been so embarrassed by Marine? Well, now that the Beast's pirates are down, a backup admiral can turn him into a bereaved dog and run away at sea. Oh, got it. Luo Lei nodded slightly, walked slowly towards the beach, and said, let's go, let's meet Marine's arrival. Yes, Jin didn't dare to say anything, so he followed. After about 8 minutes, 3 black spots gradually appeared where the sea and sky meet. At the beginning, it was just 3 black shadows, but, as the distance continued to approach, 3 Marine's top warships appeared in the sea in front of them. At this time, on the deck of the top warship, several Marines were getting ready to go. Admiral T. Dolphin, the substitute of naval headquarters, was standing at the forefront, holding a telescope, looking at the sea in the distance, when he saw Jin standing on a desert island. At that time, he couldn't help showing a smile. After so long. Finally caught up with Beast's pirates, Flame Disaster. Next is hunting time. Thinking that Jin, whose reward amount is as high as 1.39 billion berry, will be arrested and brought to justice by himself. There was a smug smile on the T. Dolphin's wretched face. In the past, because of the Beast's Kaido, Marine would not easily fight with the 4 Emperor's pirates. Now Kaido of the Beasts and Charlotte Linlin have both been driven into the underground magma. It's time to show the true strength of Marine. Finally, after a few minutes, 3 Marine top warships are docked on the sea more than 300 meters away from the desert island. Jin, surrender, you are surrounded by our Marines. Chapter 32 1 Move second, 4th kneeling for flowers and evaluation. Jin, surrender, you are surrounded by our Marines. With a cold voice, I saw the T. Dolphin wearing the cloak of justice and the epaulets embroidered on the shoulders standing on the deck, and said fiercely, this time, no matter what cards you have, it will be difficult to fly. Clang, clang, the voice did not fall. The dozens of dark gun muzzles on the 3 Marines' top warships were all aimed at Jin. Ha ha ha. After hearing this, Jin changed from his previous seriousness, and couldn't help but burst into laughter. After leaving Wanokuni, he was targeted by Marine. After learning that the Beast's pirates had been defeated, the T. Dolphin was like a maggot in the Tarsus, chasing after him and beating him, as if he was going to kill him. Now I dare to catch up, it seems that I really hate myself for living too long. Why are you laughing? T. Dolphin's expression changed slightly, and he said solemnly, Beast's pirates has been defeated, Wanokuni has also changed hands, and you are the only one left in the entire Beast's pirates to flee. By the way, let me tell you another news, Marine Admiral has gone to Wanokuni. Oh, Jin's expression remained unchanged, he shook his head with a smile, and took the initiative to change the subject. Do you know what I'm doing at West Blue? Fleeing for your life, T. Dolphin said as a matter of course. I was chased by Marine and fled to West Blue. If I guessed correctly, you should have killed those pirates, right? Having said that, T. Dolphin also pointed to the almost unrecognizable Capone Beige in the distance, as well as the corpses of some pirates from the Flame Tank pirates. No, Jin shook his head calmly, looking at the T. Dolphin as if he were looking at a dead person. You didn't kill it, how could it be? Wait a minute. T. Dolphin pondered for a while, then turned his eyes and looked suspiciously at Luo Lei who was standing in front of Jin. All right, after discovering Jin, he focused his attention on Jin. He didn't even pay attention to the man with long black hair, wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform, and a red layered armor on the outside. After all, Jin is a big fish. The other one is probably some unknown person, not worth mentioning. But, hearing Jin's tone, it seemed that this little guy killed those pirates. Advertisement. Humph. Why do you think so much? Don't you know if you try it? Accompanied by a cold snort, a cold light flashed in the eyes of the T. Dolphin, and when he stepped on it, the whole person flew out, quickly out of his legs, rolled up the vacuum, and sent out a sharp slashing wave. Tempest kick. Laugh. with the cracking sound of the air. The tens of meters long white slashing wave attacked Luo Lei with terrifying power, as if it wanted to kill him with one blow. It's a pity. In the face of such an attack, Luo Lei's expression was indifferent, there was no change in expression in his eyes, and he simply put his hand on top of his head. Clang! A sound of metal collision sounded. The white slashing wave hit Luo Lei's arm fiercely, and a terrifying shock wave of collision energy erupted, sweeping out in all directions. Then, nothing more. Luo Lei's arm didn't even have the slightest white mark. Defense is okay. Luo Lei waved his arm and said softly, Marine is really getting weaker. Cha Dolphin was about to say something, but suddenly found that Luo Lei's body had disappeared, relying on observation haki, barely aware that Luo Lei seemed to be moving towards him. Swish. The next moment, before the T-Pig could react, Luo Lei's body appeared in front of him, and he waved his fist lightly. So fast. T-Dolphin was stunned, subconsciously waving his fist wrapped around armament haki. Boom. A sound of bones bursting sounded. A lot of power. T-Dolphin felt his broken arm, and looked at Luo Lei like a ghost. Is he just trying? How could this be? Immediately afterwards, his body flew upside down and slammed into the deck of a top marine warship. Perhaps it was too powerful, not only smashed through the deck, but also smashed through the bottom of the ship. T-Dolphin Vice Admiral. What happened? Why did Vice Admiral get fired back? See this scene. The Marines on the 3 Marine top warships all showed extremely unbelievable expressions. What's the situation? As Marine Substitute Admiral, the T-Dolphin Vice Admiral is much stronger than the General Vice Admiral of the headquarters. Will there be a chance to take the position of Admiral in the future? The results of it. Advertisement. Being beaten by a person whom he has never seen before is a one-off move. Completely unable to fight back. Do not. It's a one-sided complete crush. Why? In less than a second, Vice Admiral was defeated. A Marine Rear Admiral swallowed cautiously, a wisp of cold sweat appeared on his forehead inadvertently, and looked at Luo Lei full of shock and wonder. Where did this monster come from? Jin came to West Blue. Could it be just to find him? One move to kill a Marine Substitute Admiral, I'm afraid the 4 Emperors can't do it, right? Who is this guy in front of him? In an instant, the atmosphere of confusion, doubt, panic, fear, daze, etc. spread across the 3 Marine tops. I thought it was a surefire way to pursue Jin, but I didn't expect it to be home delivery. However, just at this time, Luo Lei, who was in the air, suddenly showed a very strange smile, and a strange red light began to appear in his eyes. Tell you the truth. Decades ago, I don't know how many Marines warships were destroyed. Now that you've delivered it to your door, it's time to relive the original feeling. Laugh. The next moment, without any warning, a crimson hot sight slid across a Marine top-level warship. Laugh. A cutting sound rang out. The Marine's top-level warship, which seems to be as strong as incomparable, is like a piece of paper, and it has been cut into 2 halves. And this is just the beginning. Laugh. Laugh. A sound of cutting sounded. The other 2 Marines' top warships were also cut in half by the heat sight. Chapter 33 Kaido. I pervert. Luo Lei's boss is more pervert than me. Boom. As Marines' top warships were cut open by the heat of sight like tofu. Countless sea waters poured in frantically. Continually devoured 3 of Marines' top warships. What? This? How could this be? It's completely unreasonable. If you say you do it, do it. Quote. The sudden change made the Marines on the 3 top Marine warships stunned. Even now, they still haven't reacted. Why would they encounter such a pervert in West Blue and ignore Marine at all? Inside. Quick, jump into the sea. A Marine Rear Admiral panicked, issued an order and jumped into the sea first. Walk. Run away. After hearing this, the rest of the Marines seemed to come to their senses and jumped off the boat one after another, not daring to stay on the deck and wait to die. Ha ha. Seeing this scene, Luo Lei inadvertently showed the unique smile of Azu, and opened his arms in midair, saying, Laozi has just been resurrected, so he came to find something, then he will die for Laozi. Swish, swish, accompanied by 2 piercing sounds, 2 red-hot sights, carrying a temperature of more than 100,000, shot at the Marine soldiers who were fleeing frantically on the sea at a lightning-fast speed. What? Quote. Laugh, laugh, laugh. In an instant, one after another crisp fusion sound mixed with the screams of the sky resounded. Before many Marine soldiers could react, they found that their bodies had been roasted into coke by the sudden high temperature. The dead couldn't die any longer. Perhaps the temperature was too high, and the seawater in this sea area was directly boiled. Countless white smoke came out. From afar, just like frying fish in a frying pan, it makes the scalp tingle for a while. Some of the Marine soldiers, who were a little bit stronger, also used moonwalk to escape as quickly as a frightened bird. But it was defeated by the hot sight. He could only watch the crimson rays swept across his body and his body melted instantly. Advertisement. For a while, the smell of blood and burns pervades the sea. Looking at this scene like purgatory on earth, even though Jin, who was standing by the seashore, was mentally prepared, he couldn't help but feel a tingling in his scalp and couldn't help himself. Kill, he will, but, as the head of the 3 disasters, he Looking at Mr. Luo Lei, who was so crazy and had Azu's smile on his face, there was still some panic in his heart. Lunatic, pervert, play cards out of common sense and do whatever he wants. This is Jin's most intuitive feeling. No wonder Kaido boss said that he pervert. Luo Lei boss is more pervert and scary than him. Wait a minute, are our 3 disasters also affected by Kaido boss? Boss Kaido, I finally know how your character was formed. Sure enough, if you have a boss, you must have his subordinates. Jin took a deep breath, and felt a little restless in his heart. Damn, you are all dead. After killing so many Marines, neither the world government nor naval headquarters will spare you. Jin, I'll let you go, you quickly tell him to stop, don't kill anymore, really don't kill anymore. Quote. Boom. Sudden. With the sound of breaking water. I saw that the whole body of the T-Dolphin was wrapped in jet black armament hockey, and the shattered right arm was pulled, making a hoarse sound. However, T-Dolphin's words are of no use. In less than a minute, the 3 Marine top-level warships and more than 300 Marine soldiers were all buried in the sea, not even a body. How is this possible? Why is that? The T-Dolphin stepped on moonwalk and hovered in midair, his eyes were blank, his expression was extremely dejected, and he felt that the sky was about to collapse. This time chasing Jin, he thought it was foolproof, but he didn't expect that Jin didn't catch it, but Marine Corps was destroyed. In the end, the Joker was Marine himself. More seriously, who is this mysterious guy from West Blue? Why is it so powerful? Wrong. Could it be the legendary? Suddenly, Cha Dolphin seemed to have thought of something, and there was a look of horror on his cheeks. If I remember correctly, when Marshal Akainu gave him an order, he seemed to say something casually. Kaido put a cruel word before being smashed into the underground magma, that is, let Jin go to West Blue to revive the legendary ancestor of the sea, Luo Lei. At that time, Marshal Akainu also said that how could the dead be resurrected? All this is just fantasy and resentment before Kaido was defeated. To this advertisement, T-Dolphin also agrees with it very much, and doesn't take it seriously. Now it seems that everyone is wrong. What Kaido said is true. Jin came to West Blue to really resurrect the legendary ancestor of the sea who caused a blank year. If it is really resurrected. The next moment. Perhaps it was too shocking, while the T-Pig's mind was shaking, his mind became blank. Because, after becoming Marine's substitute admiral, he also has permission to read some secret documents, so he also knows some information about Luo Lei, the legendary ancestor of the sea. But never cared about it. Looking back carefully now, the appearance of this mysterious person in front of me seems to be similar to the photo in the document. The matter is serious. If the man is really resurrected, doesn't it mean that the world government, Marine, and pirates will have another ancestor on their heads? Are you really resurrected? A few seconds later, Cha Dolphin glanced at Luo Lei with trembling eyes, as if seeing a ghost, and said incredulously, you are not already dead, how can you be resurrected? No, it's impossible to resurrect. T-Dolphin looked a little dejected and desperate, and kept shaking his head. As a substitute for Admiral, his heart had collapsed. Even if he saw Luo Lei standing in front of him alive, he still couldn't believe it, because if Luo Lei was really resurrected, the situation in the sea would be turned upside down. No, such a big thing happened to West Blue. I want to send the news of Luo Lei's resurrection back to naval headquarters. Walk, swish. A cracking sound rang out. The T-Dolphin stepped on the moonwalk and flew towards the distant sea in a panic. Ember. Looking at the fleeing T-Dolphin, Luo Lei didn't bother to do anything, and said in a low voice, throw his body to the Marine base in West Blue. Clear. After hearing this, Jin showed a cruel color. Next, it's his hunting time. Chapter 34 Marine is about to riot. West Blue. C2 Marine Branch. As West Blue's largest marine base. Policing West Blue in the name of absolute justice. Certainly. In general, the Marine Branch is the Four Seas Branch and the Grand Line Branch. Among them, the Four Seas Branch has the highest rank of captain, the captain of naval headquarters and the captain of the Four Seas Branch, which are 3 different levels in strength, while the Grand Line Branch is the branch directly under naval headquarters, the highest rank is Vice Admiral, and the military rank system is the same as that of naval headquarters. The same level is not downgraded. At this time, at the C2 Marine Branch base. On a huge square in the frontmost area, dozens of Marine soldiers in uniform are standing here with their heads held high. At the front of the team, there was a Vernal Lieutenant Commander wearing a justice cloak and embroidered epaulettes on his shoulders. It stands to reason that Vice Admiral should be here. Looking up at the boundless sea, Vernal Lieutenant Commander frowned and muttered to himself, isn't there any problem that caused the delay in arriving at the base? All right. After Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral and Substitute Admiral T led Marine into West Blue. Vernal Lieutenant Commander has already received news. According to the news from Naval Headquarters, at noon today, T-Dolphin Vice Admiral will be at the C2 Marine Branch base for some supplies and rest. So, it's not noon yet. Vernal Lieutenant Commander gathered Marine soldiers at the base and planned to welcome Vice Admiral. After all, the 4 seas that are regarded as fish ponds by Marines and pirates. In normal times, let alone Vice Admiral, even Rear Admiral can't be seen. Now it's hard to wait for a high-ranking headquarters vice admiral and backup admiral, and Vernal lieutenant commander has to perform well. In case of falling into the eye of vice admiral, then he transferred to naval headquarters, is it not easy? But now it's good, it's already afternoon, there is no news from the Marine fleet led by Vice Admiral, and there is no sign of coming. Fernal Lieutenant Commander, the phone bug still can't get in touch. At this time, a Marine adjutant came over and whispered, there seems to be no contact with naval headquarters either. The fleet where Vice Admiral was in seems to have disappeared after entering West Blue. What? Disappeared? Vernal Lieutenant Commander showed an unbelievable expression and blurted out. Impossible, with the strength of the T-Dolphin Vice Admiral, plus 3 Marine top-level warships, isn't it easy to hunt down a Jin like a bereaved dog? If we can't get in touch today, what naval headquarters means is, let's launch West Blue's Marine tomorrow to find it. The Marine adjutant added softly. Understood. Vernal Lieutenant Commander waved his hand impatiently. Advertisement. He didn't believe that Vice Admiral would have a problem with the West Blue fish pond, maybe he was at war with Jin, so he didn't get in touch. Far away, the endless sea level still has no shadow of any Marine warships. 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 hours. As time goes by, the atmosphere of the entire C2 Marine branch gradually began to become solemn, and many Marine soldiers showed puzzled and dazed expressions. Until now, they have not waited for the 3 Marine top warships from naval headquarters. Will Vice Admiral really come? It won't really be a problem, will it? At this time, Vernal Lieutenant Commander did not give the calm, and his heart began to become restless. For more than 5 hours, they still hadn't contacted the T-Dolphin Vice Admiral, and there was no news from naval headquarters. Wait a minute, there's a big bird flying in the sky. But, just at this time, a Marine soldier with a telescope let out a cry of exclamation. What? After hearing this, Vernal Lieutenant Commander showed a stunned expression, picked up the telescope in his hand, and looked at it without hesitation. Result. I don't know if I don't see it, I was shocked when I saw it. Where is the big bird? Isn't it the first of the 3 great disasters, nicknamed Flame Disaster, the toothless pterosaur incarnated by Jin? In an instant, Vernal Lieutenant Commander's expression changed from stun to panic and astonishment. What's the situation? T-Dolphin Vice Admiral did not wait. Actually, the first of the 3 great disasters, nicknamed Flame Disaster, Jin, etc. came. Where's the T-Dolphin Vice Admiral? Not. Vernal Lieutenant Commander didn't dare to think about it. Before he knew it, strands of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He only felt his scalp tingle for a while, and a feeling of impending disaster appeared in his heart. No, this seems to be the Beast's Pirates, Fire Disaster, Jin. As the distance got closer and clearer, a Marine soldier also reacted and exclaimed in panic. One sound. The great pirate Jin is here. Hum. The voice did not fall. The entire C2 Marine branch suddenly boiled. Advertisement. Almost every Marine soldier had a look of horror and disbelief on his cheeks. What are you kidding? Isn't Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters hunting for Jin? Why did Jin come to their C2 Marine branch? With their strength, facing the big pirate, isn't Jin a one-sided crush? Ha 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 ha, are you waiting for the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral edition? Soon, when Jin arrived at the C2 Marine branch, there was a smug smile on his face under the mask, and the audience laughed out loud. Quiet. The entire C2 Marine branch was silent. No one dared to speak. Even Vernal Lieutenant Commander stood there stiffly. This is the first time they have faced a big pirate with a bounty of up to 1.39 billion berry. The invisible sense of oppression that belongs to the big pirate makes them not dare to act rashly, nor can they raise any fighting spirit. It's boring. Seeing that no Marine dared to speak, not even to breathe. Jin waved his wings a little boringly, and didn't bother to do anything to these stinky fish and rotten shrimp, so he threw down a pocket behind his back and smashed it on the C2 Marine branch. The people you are waiting for are dead, please tell Naval Headquarters that the real battle has just begun. Swish. A cracking sound rang out. With a flick of his wings, Jin disappeared above the C2 Marine branch. This. Glancing at the back of Jin's departure, Vernal Lieutenant Commander breathed a sigh of relief and walked carefully to the pocket. He didn't believe that Vice Admiral would die. At first glance, this Jin is a benefit of his tongue. Run now. Must be afraid of the T-Dolphin Vice Admiral catch up. Must be so. Vernal Lieutenant Commander secretly encouraged himself, reached out and opened his pocket. Boom. The next moment, see what's in your pocket. Vernal Lieutenant Commander's eyes widened suddenly, and he immediately collapsed to the ground in fright, with only one thought in his mind, that Marine was going to riot. Chapter 35. The Wrath of Akainu. What? After Vernal Lieutenant Commander slumped to the ground in fright. The Marine soldiers at the base also saw what was in their pockets. They were all shocked, and their eyes widened in horror. Especially when they smelled the blood in the air, they subconsciously began to connect. Rolling back and crawling. Died. The famous Vice Admiral at Marine, T-Dolphin is dead. Thinking back to what Jin said just now, does that mean that Vice Admiral was killed by Jin? Even with 3 Marine top warships annihilated. How is this possible? Many Marine soldiers at the scene couldn't believe what they saw. After all, With the strength of Vice Admiral and Backup Admiral, how could he be killed by Jin? Totally impossible, right? Phone bug. Bring me the phone bug. I do not know how long it has been. Vernal Lieutenant Commander reacted with hindsight, took a deep breath, suppressed the trembling in his heart, and roared wildly. With such a big thing happening in West Blue, it must be reported to Naval Headquarters. Jin, the leader of the three disasters, is definitely stronger than expected. Vice Admiral is definitely overshadowed. Vernal Lieutenant Commander. After a few minutes, a Marine adjutant hurried over with a phone bug. Call. Vernal Lieutenant Commander took the phone bug and dialed Naval Headquarters. New World. Former Marine G1 branch. At this time, inside the Marshal's office on the top floor. Marshal Marine Akainu, Marine Admiral Kizaru, Marine Criminal Investigation Bureau Chief, Dark Horse is having a meeting there. Now the situation in the sea has become a little more complicated. The Dark Horse looked at an intelligence document in his hand and said solemnly, Sabo, the Yan Emperor, killed the only World Summit participant of the original 20 families who founded the world government 800 years ago. Neferutari Kobu. After pulling, he became a hero all over the world. After all, for the Revolutionary Army and many civilians, the death of Neferutari Cobra is a milestone. I don't know why the five elders say that Sabo killed Neferutari Cobra. Advertisement. Hearing this sentence, Kizaru pouted and said with a headache, isn't this fueling the arrogance of the Revolutionary Army? Who knows? Dark Horse shrugged his shoulders speechlessly and added. At this time, Sabo's younger brother, the Straw Hat Luffy, became one of the four emperors, so that the current Yan Emperor Sabo, in a sense, has more influence than the Revolutionary Armies. Leader. Rebel Dragon. First make it crazy, and then let it perish. Maybe the world government wants to wipe out the Revolutionary Army. Akainu smiled coldly, and said without emotion, no matter how high the Revolutionary Army jumps now, the more tragic the death will be. Which country dares to break out a revolution will destroy which country. Perhaps. Dark Horse raised his brows and nodded silently. Correct. Kizaru pondered for a while before saying slowly, the attempted assassination of Saint Charles rose. When the trial was held in the land of the gods, the Knights of the Gods intervened, and things became deadlocked. I don't want to be involved, it's too much trouble. When it comes to this, an untroubled look was evident on Kizaru's wretched cheeks. This time at the World Summit, a lot of very troublesome things happened in Holy Land Mariejois, which caused him to work overtime for 3 weeks. So, before the matter was finished, he walked back to Naval Headquarters and let Fujitora be there with the world government. Wrangling. Let Fujitora be in the Holy Land Mariejois and we'll all stop participating. Akainu thought for a moment and said in a heavy tone, at present, Wanokuni, the Straw Hat Pirates, the Cross Guild, the Red Hair Pirates, the Blackbeard Pirates, and the Revolutionary Army are the focus of our attention. Especially the Crusaders, who dares to turn back on our marine and want them, is an unforgivable crime. Boom. After saying this, Akainu was obviously a little angry, and slammed the table. Only Marine has always offered a bounty for pirates. The results of it, the Crusaders actually started offering a bounty to Marines, which caused many ordinary Marine soldiers to be careful about civilians when they were doing missions, so as not to be stabbed in the back. There are also some civilians who don't know what to do. Are the Revolutionary Army and pirates really good people? Bolu. However, just when Akainu finished shooting the table and was about to speak, the phone worm on the table rang in vain. Advertisement. Hey. Akainu frowned, picked up the phone bug, and said in a low voice, this is Naval Headquarters, I'm Marshal Sakazuki. Marshal Sakazuki. I'm Vernal Lieutenant Commander of the West BLUEC 2 Marine Branch. Vernal's trembling voice came from the other end of the phone bug. West BLUEC 2 Marine Branch. Akainu froze for a moment, as if he didn't expect a lieutenant commander from West Blue to come to him by leaps and bounds. According to regulations, shouldn't he report to the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral who is in charge of West Blue? Marshal Sakazuki, a big event has happened in West Blue. On the other end of the phone bug, Vernal still seemed to be in a state of fright, making his tone intermittent. What a big event. Akainu suppressed the anger in his heart and asked. Anyway, he has made up his mind that no matter what happens, this unruly Vernal Lieutenant Commander can pack up and leave. Additional Vice Admiral is dead. Vernal took a deep breath and summoned the courage to report. What? Akainu, who was about to lose his temper, was stunned again. He didn't seem to understand, and said hurriedly, what did you say? Vice Admiral was killed by someone, and the murderer was the Beast's Pirates Fire Disaster Jin. Vernal's tone was full of weeping, and he said in a sullen voice, Jin also said that the real battle has just begun. Damn, do you know what you're talking about? Akainu couldn't hold back the anger in his heart at once, and said coldly, how could a bereaved dog who escaped from Wanokuni kill the extra, aren't you kidding? Is he really killed? Vernal increased his tone and said, now the body of Vice Admiral is still at our base, and it was sent by Jin himself. Akainu's eyes flickered with suspicion, and he clenched his left hand. The next moment, it seemed that he couldn't hold back his inner anger. Drops of magma began to drip from Akainu's fist, causing the wooden board to make a sound of being burned.